Hey guys, I'm your host, Rachel Cruz, and welcome to Dave Ramsey's Greatest Hits, where we're looking back at the best moments from the last 10 years of The Ramsey Show on video. This episode features Dave's most watched clips on getting control of your finances and investing for the future. You're about to get some great wealth building advice, and spoiler alerts, Dave even shares his own investing process. Check it out.
Well, you guys know by now that I'm a firm believer in what the Bible says, that the borrower is slave to the lender. Because your most powerful wealth-building tool is your income. And when you haven't committed your income in the form of payments to everybody else, you can invest it and become wealthy. Really. The average car payment in America today is $503. That's just cray-cray. That's nutty. If you invest $500 in a decent growth stock mutual fund from age 30 to age 70, you'll have over $5 million. That one thing will make you worth $5 million. Getting out of them land of car payments, just staying out of them. Isn't that amazing? And so I've become known for getting people out of debt. And the only reason I get people out of debt is because it increases their generosity and increases their ability to invest and become wealthy, which also increases their generosity. And it changes your life. It changes your family tree. It changes your retirement. You retire with dignity. You don't have to buy that cookbook, 72 Ways to Prepare Alpo, and love it. You can retire with dignity. But you have to do it on purpose. And getting out of debt in order to invest is the shortest way. And what is amazing to me is that almost the entire financial industry focuses on one part of the equation, and that's the investing part of the equation, and they all have a bunch of theories. Now, I've had all the letters and licenses after my name. I have a degree in finance. I've had all the licenses in the business, dropped all of them because I didn't want to be regulated what I could say here on the air. The only license I still have active is my real estate license. I've had it since I was 18, and they don't regulate much, so I'm going to keep that one. But, the rest of it is just... It is amazing the number of people in the financial world, whether they're financial advisors, writers, bloggers, whatever they do, that have opinions about money that don't have any money, and whose track record on teaching people to invest and getting them to invest sucks. 3% of the public is where all of those people make their money, off wealthy people. They make all their money off wealthy people. And most of the advisors out there won't fool with you if you don't have some money. They don't want to sit down and talk to you. And so we started teaching people, of course, all these years ago, how we invest. And then as we've met with many, many, many thousands of millionaires over the years, how did they invest? What are they doing? Well, we suggest, and I personally invest in good growth stock mutual funds. I spread it across 4 types: growth and income, growth, aggressive growth, and international. And I buy mutual funds that have at least a 10-year track record. Well, Dave, shouldn't you just buy index funds? Well, you can if you want. Index funds, basically an S&P 500 fund, mirrors the market. That basically is the stock market. And so you're going to do exactly what the stock market does, good or bad. The mutual funds that I buy outperform the S&P 500. And they're really not that hard to find. A lot of mutual funds don't outperform the S&P 500. So if you're going to buy that, well, that'd be dumb. Just buy an S&P 500. But I buy mutual funds that outperform the S&P 500, and my portfolio mix that I just outlined is pretty much always beats the market because I buy funds that outperform the market. It's not that hard to do. You open up the prospectus, and there's 2 little lines on the graph. One of them is the S&P 500. If the mutual fund you're looking at, if that line is below that S&P 500 line, don't buy that fund. Duh. This is hard. Really not that much to this. But, Dave, you just tell people buy those loaded funds. Yeah, those pay a commission. That's fine. Have somebody in your life helping you do the investing. All the data says that you'll continue to invest doing that. But when you're out there by yourself with all your theories, and they some idiot newscaster comes on the evening news predicting the end of the world, what do? You cash out all your mutual funds at exactly the wrong time. because you don't have anybody in your corner saying, don't jump, don't jump. Instead, you're just out there with your own emotions and the newscaster. And that's how you pick out when you jump in or out of the market. And that's just dumb. So all the data says a decent portfolio of good performing mutual funds wins. And the big thing is actually putting money into the mutual funds, actually investing. One piece of research shows that 74% of the reason of retirement success is doing it. It's called savings rate. The number of you that put money in versus talk about it and continually put money in. Year after year, year after year, year after year, month after month, week after week, out of your check, into your 401k, over and over and over and over and over again. This is how you get wealthy. You do not get wealthy by saving on fees, because fees don't keep you from getting wealthy. It's ludicrous. These are theories promoted by people who don't do anything. And most of them don't have any money. So I'm a multimillionaire and I pay mutual fund fees to my broker. Boom. Just like that. Did you hear that? And you know why? Because I need a broker in my life. I need somebody that's an advisor. I know a lot about mutual funds, but I don't pick my own. I let them pick out 4 or 5. I'm not going through 8,000 mutual funds. I have what's known as a life. I'm going to actually have, pick out 3 or 4 dudes. I'm going to sit down with you. We're going to look at them. I'm going to pick out, that takes me about 30 seconds. And let me tell you how I pick mutual funds. About 80% of the choice on my mutual fund, 85%, is based on its rate of return, its track record. I look, if the track record's tied and I'm trying to look, I look for the longest track record. Who's been doing it a long time? I like neighborhoods with big oak trees when I'm buying real estate. You see what I'm saying? I like a long track record, something stable. I don't like risk. I like to make money. Risk equals not making money for me. Big risk anyway. And I pay the fee. Now, I'll look at the fees and see if the fees are unusually high. And I might pick a fund if everything else is equal that has a lower fee. But I'm not so, some people are stepping over $5 bills trying to pick up pennies, worrying about these fees. And, I saved $57 out of 1,000. Woo, you're getting rich. That's not what's getting you rich, dude. It's the fact that the fund is invested in something that's going up in value, and you do it over and over and over and over again. And don't jump in and out of the market based on what's going on. It's going down, I'm scared. It's going up, I'm high, I'm greedy. That's called chasing returns. This is the best way to lose your butt. Get in there and just stay in there and just ride it and ride it and ride it. We're going to talk about these 4 types of mutual funds a little bit more when we come back. Thank you for joining us, America. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Open phones at 888-825-5225. You jump in. We'll talk about your life and your money. We're talking about mutual funds and how to invest to become wealthy. We should spread it across 4 types: growth and income, growth, aggressive growth, and international. Well, let's talk about those for a second, because there's all kinds of names for mutual funds, and the name of the mutual fund tells you what is in the fund. Okay? A growth and income fund is also called a large cap fund, or sometimes also called a blue chip fund. Now, the blue chip is the most expensive chip on the poker table, so that means these are big companies in this. Large cap is short for large capitalization. Large capitalization means these are large companies. And so your growth and income funds are large companies. Boring. Of the 4 types of mutual funds that I put money into and I recommend, this is the calmest. If you were to chart this volatility on this fund versus the stock market, you would see it's a lot calmer than the market. And so it's your friend when things are going down, in other words. It's your stable. It's the big old dinosaur companies. They're boring. When things are going up, by the way, it's also boring. It's not exciting when things are going up. It's a downer. You look at that thing going, why is it not doing well when the rest of the market's going up? Because it goes slower than the market up and slower than the market down, because this is stable land. Stable land. A growth fund is right in the middle. The S&P 500 index fund would be considered a growth fund. A growth fund is companies that are growing. They're kind of medium-sized companies, so you might hear it called mid-cap fund. And so, these are just standard growth stock mutual funds. There's a whole lot of these out there. Ton of funds that fall in this area. So the idea is pretty simple. The growth fund, that's kind of right there in the middle. You want something in the middle when it's pretty much going to do about what the market does in terms of volatility, but you can get mutual funds that are growth stock mutual funds that outperform the S&P 500. You can even get growth and income funds, even though they're not as volatile, that outperform the S&P 500. Then there's the aggressive growth fund. This is the wild brother, okay? It's the crazy one. And so you might guess it's going to be also called a small cap funds. These are the small companies, the startups. A lot of tech companies would fall into there. Very crazy. All the fun, weird stuff is in there. And that means some of it fails and goes to zero. And so it's a crazier mix. It's going to be much more volatile than the stock market is. So it's going to go up faster than the market goes up, but it's going to go down faster than the market goes down. Small cap, aggressive growth stock mutual funds, also known in there as let's see, small cap, aggressive growth. Oh, emerging market, you would call it that too as well. International funds means that the stocks in it are overseas companies. They're not American companies. It has a kissing cousin called a global fund. If you think of a globe, what is it? It's everything. So that would have international and U.S. companies in a global fund, and it would be a cousin to an international. By the way, American companies generally outperform other international companies by and large as a group, and so your international fund will be your worst performing of the four over the last several decades. And a global fund will outperform an international fund because you put some spice in there, you put some American companies in there usually. And so they're a little bit better, but at least you got some stuff overseas. You're not 100% betting on the American economy. Not that I'm anti-American. I am not. This is not a patriotic thing. This is a diversification thing. And so, you want to have some BMW and some Mercedes in there. You want to have some LG and some other stuff. Even though some of those things are made stateside, those are foreign companies. And so you look for, companies that are overseas based, could be a French company, could be whatever, that are in an international fund. And then you spread your investing across those four types. And so, very simple here. Very simple. The thing is, do it. That's the thing. Everybody talks and talks and talks and talks and talks about investing. The problem is nobody does it. The people we talk to on the Millionaire Theme Hour that are millionaires, you know how they got to be millionaires? They did it. And they never, when I ask them how they became millionaires, they never say, oh, man, I hit the home run. I got this mutual fund, had low fees. They never say that because it never happens. Oh, Dave, I hit the home run. I got this mutual fund that went straight up, and I made all my money in one good buy. My golfing buddy gave me a stock tip. I don't meet millionaires that did that. I hear stories about it, but a golfing buddy with a stock tip is like a golfing buddy with a fishing story. The one that got away. I mean, it's just everybody's got an opinion, and it's all a bunch of crap. And so you just have to really stop and go, slow and steady, actually investing is the way. It's the way. It's the only way to go. It's the only way to go. So, growth and income, growth, aggressive growth, international. Don't chase the returns. Do not invest money in things you do not understand. People get ripped off when they invest money in things that someone told them is good and they trusted the person instead of knowing what the flip they were doing. All these athletes you read about, the NFL stars, and they lost $10 million or they made $100 million and it's all gone. And, you know how they lose their money? Because they give it to someone else to handle and they don't even look at it. And then they're shocked to find out that person was a crook. That's how you lose your money. It's your money, just like it's your kids, which means you have to make it behave, just like you have to make your kids behave. You have to do that. If you want good kids, that's how it's going to happen. If you want money, this is how it's going to happen. You have to understand it. Now, you don't have to have a master's degree in finance. This stuff is not rocket science. It is really not that difficult. And you really, really seriously have to do this, and you have to understand what the money is going into. Do not put money in it. That's why when you're buying insurance, when you're getting a mortgage, when you are doing your investing in mutual funds, that's why when you do all of that, that you have to understand what you're doing. And the only way you're going to do that is when you're picking someone to help you in one of those areas. You're doing your estate plan if it's complicated. You're doing your taxes if they're complicated, that kind of thing. You need someone sitting on the other side of the table that is not a salesperson, but that is, they may be selling, they may make a commission, but they have the heart of a teacher, not the heart of a salesperson. And so they're selling not by twisting your arm or getting you to buy something you don't understand. Instead, they sell by getting you to understand what you're doing, and then you choose to do it. I'm an easy sale once I understand something. But until I understand it, I'm not putting a dime in it. I'm not going forward with this. It's that simple. So don't put money in things you don't understand. Always use an investment professional that has the heart of a teacher. Don't be afraid to pay some commissions. You don't want to overpay, but that's not the end of the world. The big deal here is pick out some mutual funds, get your investing going, and do it every month. If you need some help, check our SmartVestor Pros. Click SmartVestor at DaveRamsey.com, and you can find a list of the people we endorse in your area. They don't work for me, but I endorse them, and they have the heart of a teacher, and they'll help you. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. You know, this money thing is very interesting, you guys. It's very interesting because very few things are what they seem. As you get older and uglier like me, and my ears continue to grow, as well as other parts of my body, continuing to grow. My wife says my belly is continuing to grow, and she's right. As I do that, I am more and more amazed at how dumb I was and how I really didn't understand that very few people who look like they have money actually do. The huge car, expensive car, the vastly expensive purse, the vastly expensive vacation on Instagram, the vastly expensive fill in the blank, are very seldom actual indicators of wealth. Particularly the first level of wealth. I would call the first level of wealth your first $10 million. If you have a net worth of $1 to $10 million, the average person in that category is not average to start with. They're way above average. But the typical person, I guess it should say, typical family that has a $1 to $10 million net worth is very understated. They buy their clothes at unimpressive places, and they're unimpressive clothes. They enjoy nice vacations, but they seldom post them for you to see on Instagram because they didn't take you on vacation. They wanted to go on vacation. The Christmas presents around the tree are very reasonable. The car that they drive is understated, and the valet is seldom impressed until he gets the tip. It's usually a used Camry or a nice used Honda or a nice old pickup truck of some kind. Because the people that achieve that first layer of wealth, that $1 to $10 million, the way they did it is they didn't do it for you. They're not mad at you, but they don't care what you think. They were not living their life to impress others. They loved their life, not yours. They were not trying to emulate or be the Joneses. They just didn't care what you thought. There's a real thing that says when you quit worrying about what people think and you're actually living life for you and your family, and that causes you to make completely different purchases and live a completely different lifestyle. One of the greatest compliments I had was I had a very important gentleman who was a top-level corporate executive with one of the major companies in our area come to visit us one night in our home, and he said, I was interested to meet you. He said, I've been checking you out. I've been asking around town, around Nashville, about Dave Ramsey. And he said, you know what I always hear? I said, I'll be interested to hear that. That'll be interesting. Know what? That you're unassuming. It's kind of a nice compliment. It's another way of saying I don't really do stuff for what you think. I get to do a lot of nice things, but I'm really not doing any of them for you. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I'm just, I didn't buy the house I live in for you. I bought it for me. And I don't care what you think about it, one way or the other. The same with my boat or my car or my vacation or whatever. And my net worth these days is well in excess of the $10 million level. So I'm starting to enjoy some things at a different level. And the people that I know that are in the $100 million, $200 million, they do have some things that are flashy and that are not unassuming. That they do because they can afford it. It's a very small percentage of their world. I've got a friend who's worth about $200 million. He bought his wife a $5,000 Coach purse, which my brain from Antioch, Tennessee, I couldn't even get my head around the idea of doing that until I did it for my wife later. But I mean, but it blew my mind that somebody would pay that for a purse. I still don't understand it, but it's just SWI. Sharon wants it. So, but the thing I realized, it's an Uber. Who should ever spend that on a purse? Well, nobody should probably, but the truth is it's such a small percentage of that guy's world. He's got $100 million, $200 million. $5,000 isn't spit. It's not even, it's not like you, it's like you buying a biscuit, right? It doesn't even come up. And so it's ratios at that point. But what my point is the first level of wealth, not the guy with $100 million or $200 million or the gal that's a billionaire or something like that. That's a different world. And, that's a different kind of spending and a different kind of lifestyle, because when they buy a jet, it's a smaller percentage of their world than it is than when, most people buy a car, right? And so it's a really different world at that point. But the 1 to 10 million, that first layer of wealth, are typically people that if you walk past them in Walmart, you'd have no idea. We were walking out of a church that I was speaking in Orlando, Florida the other day, and I walked past this guy, tall and slender, gray hair, I'm guessing 65 years old, blue jeans that are pressed with a crease down the middle, really nice cowboy boots, and a big Texas belt on, and a pressed shirt. I mean, he looked like $1 million. He's wearing blue jeans and cowboy boots. But as I walked past him, I told one of my guys, I said, that's an everyday millionaire. I can spot him now. Because he looks like just a guy with some jeans and boots on. But they were very nice, and it was clean and pressed. And, he took care of himself, obviously. He'd had a haircut. Razor had met his face, all that kind of stuff. And so that kind of thing. It just, but you could tell. Even though there was nothing flashy, he was just still put together. You could feel. I can feel them. I can feel the everyday millionaires now. Not all of them, but I've just met so many of them over the decades of doing this and working with you. So my point is, my friend Tom Stanley, who wrote the book Millionaire Next Door, wrote another book later called Stop Acting Rich. That's a great thing to do. Act your freaking wage.
Jeff's with us in Phoenix. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
I'm well, Dave. Thank you for your time today, sir.
Sure. How can I Help?
Well, I have a question about 401k for retirement.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a documentary on PBS, and it kind of showed some pretty compelling evidence that investing for retirement in 401ks, because of all the fees that are associated with it, that over like 50 years, it can erode, those fees can erode like 2/3 of your original investment. And they strongly advised the advantages of being in something called a market index fund versus mutual fund. So I guess my question is twofold. Exactly what is a market index fund, and what's your opinion on which one I should be in for retirement?
Okay. A market index, an index is anything that models, an index fund is anything that models one of the particular indexes. Best way to do it is give you an example. The S&P 500 is an index. The Dow Jones Industrial Average that quotes what the stock market's done today on the news is an index. The best example is the S&P 500, and what that is Standard & Poor's is a company, S&P, that does all kinds of ratings and research on the stock market, and they have rated the top 500 companies in size on the New York Stock Exchange, which are the largest companies, in other words, the largest publicly traded companies in America. So those 500 companies, what their stock does really does represent in a very real way what the stock market is doing. That's an index fund, okay? You could get an index fund that is trying to measure or mirror some of the international markets or some of the small cap stocks like on the Chicago exchange. But the most commonly known one that they would be referring to in that would be something like an S&P 500. Now, so if those 500 stocks are the index, if you want to index to them, rather, they're the measuring stick. What we're trying to do if we're creating an S&P 500 index fund is we're trying to create a fund that mirrors what those stocks do as a group. It may or may not hold all 500 of them, but they're doing their very, very best to do exactly what that index does with that mutual fund, okay? So an S&P 500 fund is really going to give you pretty close to the exact rate of return that the stock market gives you. Not any better, not any worse. As a matter of fact, it's considered the baseline when you measure against it to see if another type of mutual fund is outperforming the market. You see what I'm saying? That's considered the 1.0 on a beta, meaning it's the baseline. And if your fund, if you're graphing it, if the line on your fund's growth is above the S&P, then it's outperformed the market. If it's below the S&P, it's underperformed the market, okay?
Right.
A large number of mutual funds underperform the market, but there are plenty of them that outperform the market. And so the problem with the PBS special is this. The number one reason people retire with no money is not because of rate of return. Okay. And it's not because of the fees. It's because they don't put any freaking money in retirement. And we've got tons of research that shows that. And all of these guys who start ripping on fees or worrying about the 401k structure or from a liberal political perspective, try to figure out what's wrong with America today and that capitalism is somehow bad or something, and they've got that as their undercurrent in a lot of these things. You're never allowed to charge a fee for anything in their minds. And it is the undercurrent, and it is PBS, so we know that's there. But aside from that, the truth of the matter is that the research indicates that getting people to invest is the primary thing you do first. The second thing you do, if they want to win, is the rate of return that they make on their money. The last thing that's an indicator of whether they end up with money is fees.
Well, I listened to your show, and it tells me I need to be in my work has the 401k with a match, and your show tells me that's where I need to be. Yeah. And I've heard you mention there's 4 different kinds of mutual funds, all, related to risk and return. Yep. So I guess I'm asking. So
the last part of the question is, do I think it's okay? Let me finish one last thing there. If the main reason people don't have money in retirement is because they don't put any money in, how do you solve that? You make it easy to invest for retirement. Payroll deduction is the easiest way, if we're talking about philosophy, to get people to do anything. That's why the IRS gets away with taking as much of our money as it takes, and we act like it's okay. Because if you had an IRS guy standing at the front door and you had to hand him cash as you walked out every day out of your money, there'd be a dadgum revolution with what we pay in taxes. But we're all dumbed down by the payroll deduction. The 401k allows that same automatic way to do that. So I'm a fan of the 401k philosophically for that reason. Now, do I put money in my 401k? Yeah, I put money in my personal 401k. Is it the only thing I do to build wealth? No, it's not the only thing. But it does keep the government's hands off the taxes, keep off the money for taxes. And if it's a Roth IRA, a Roth 401k, it's growing tax-free. And yes, I recommend 4 types of growth stock mutual funds. None of those were index funds, by the way. Growth and income, aggressive growth, and international. Now, in some 401ks, the selection of funds that you're looking at is so bad that your growth fund category could be filled with the S&P 500. Your aggressive growth could be filled with a Russell index, which is the aggressive growth index fund. If there's an index fund in there, that's fine. I'm not against that. But look at your mutual funds inside that you have the opportunity to select. And in every mutual fund perspective, there's that S&P trend line, baseline, and then the trend line of the growth on your particular fund. And you can see if the fund you're looking at has a track record of underperforming the market. If it does, don't use it. Use an index fund.
Right.
But
let me ask you this. Are all mutual funds managed, so all mutual funds have those different levels of fees?
No. There's no-load funds and there's loaded funds. All mutual funds have some fees. A no-load fund means no commission. That's what that means. But it has a maintenance fee. And the maintenance fee comes out every single year. The commission comes out only at the beginning. So what you're looking at is not if they have fees. You're looking at what's called the expense ratio. When you look at the prospectus, you can look at that. And you want to look at it averaging over 10 years. What's the average annual expense from all the fees? They're lumped into that one ratio in your prospectus. And it's federal law. It has to be in there, okay? And you're looking at that. Here's why you look at that. Let me give you an example. This is a great call, by the way. Thank you for asking these questions because it's real helpful to teach everybody this. On a no-load fund, there's no commission, but they charge an annual maintenance fee. Now, if they charge an annual maintenance fee that's 2%, and they do that over 10 years, then their average is going to be 2%. Where a loaded mutual fund with a commission might have a 5.75%, most of them do, commission on the front end when you buy it. And then the maintenance fee might be 0.5 or 0.6. And when you run that math out, it's going to be cheaper than a 2% annual maintenance fee with no commission over a 10-year period of time. So your expense ratio can be cheaper with a loaded fund. Your total expenses you're paying over a 10-year period of time can be cheaper than a no-load fund. But it's not always so. So if you're real concerned about expenses, then you look at that expense ratio, and it's the true up. It's how you compare apples and oranges between a commissioned fund and a non-commissioned fund. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And so you look at the average through there. But here's the thing. Listen to this. If your expenses are up 1% higher average over a 10-year period of time, but you make 4% more rate of return, you came out.
I can do that. I can do that.
That's why return is your primary measure of how you pick a fund. That's your primary measure. The last thing I look at is expenses, and very seldom do I find expenses being the deal breaker. And that's the reality. That's not theory. That's the reality. Good question. Starting off this hour is California. Chad is calling. Hi, Chad. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Dave?
Better than I deserve, sir. How can I help?
I had a question about mutual funds. I'm just starting to do the investing part, and I went to a broker, and I'm finding some good mutual funds with the good percentages, like you say, with the front-end load fee being about 5%.
5 and 3/4 is what most of them are. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just wondering if that's the 5, whatever you said, the 5 3/4%.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when you say it's a 12% return? Would that mean that I'm really only getting 7%?
Well, it's not 5 3/4 a year. It's 5 3/4 the first time you put money in.
Okay, see, I don't know everything, and I was
okay. That's okay. Let's talk through it. There's basically 3 ways you can get at this. Okay. There's what are called loaded mutual funds, which are mutual funds that have a commission, and there's no-load mutual funds that don't have a commission. There's two types of ways to get at the loaded funds. Let's talk through it for a minute. We'll use you as a teaching opportunity for all our listeners. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah.
And then you just walk through me with this, and you got any questions, you interrupt me as I go, okay? To start with, a no-load fund is not sold through a broker. You buy them directly from a company, and you'll see their advertisements in magazines and on websites and things. It's companies like Vanguard and Fidelity, okay? And they are primarily no-load, which means they don't charge a commission. Now, no commission does not always mean cheaper for two reasons. One is there's 2 or 3 ways they charge fees on mutual funds. All mutual funds have a maintenance fee annually, okay?
Okay.
Based on your balance at that time. So let's say you had $100,000 in there, and the maintenance fee was 0.75%. That'd be $750 that you were charged as a fee for maintaining the mutual fund, okay? Now, a no-load mutual fund has a maintenance fee. So you're still going to have a fee. It just doesn't have a commission, doesn't have the 5 3/4 or the other kinds of commissions we're going to talk about in a few minutes. So you do have a fee. Now, let's say that you, let's go back to our 5 3/4 example, okay? Let's say that you put $100,000 into that fund with that broker and you paid the commission of 5 3/4. Well, that'd be $5,750, right?
Yeah.
That you paid up front. Now, then your maintenance fee on that fund, let's say it was 0.25%, only $250 a year. So for 10 years, that'd be $2,500. After 10 years, you would have paid in maintenance fees, $250 a year times 10. Do you follow that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you'd have paid the $5,700 on top of that. And so we're talking about $7,000 and some change over $10,000. You following me?
Yeah. Okay.
Over 10 years.
So
Now, the other one, let's pretend it had I looked at one the other day that was a no-load that I didn't buy because it was a ripoff, I thought. But it had over a 1% maintenance fee. It had a 1.2% maintenance fee. Okay, so $1,200 a year, right?
Yeah.
For 10 years on $100,000, that's $12,000.
Wow.
Okay, so you paid the commission on the other one, but it was cheaper. Do you follow me?
Yeah, that's what, in my mind, I thought, oh, if I could go around the broker, I'm going to make a lot more money, but
not if you get one with a high maintenance fee.
Yeah.
So you gotta watch. They get you on the back if they don't get you on the front. Now there are good no-load funds that have reasonable maintenance fees, and sometimes I buy a no-load fund. Okay, I'm not against them. I'm just warning you that no commission does not always mean cheaper. You have to dig a little deeper to figure that out. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Then the second thing is with commissions. There's basically 2 ways that people are charging now. One is they're doing the 5 3/4 up front, like you're talking about, which are A shares, okay? And the second way is that they're doing what are called C shares, and the brokers will manage your whole portfolio for you. Instead of charging you a commission up front, they'll do it for 1% a year. Okay? Which is not a bad deal because you got a broker there to advise you and teach you and help you for every year. If you got a good broker that's involved and you can call them, you see a bad news story about something and you're worried about the stock market dropping 400 points last week in one day and you want to call your broker, you got somebody to talk to. And there's actually research, Chad, that shows that if you have a good broker in your corner, you tend to make more because you tend to not make as emotional a decision.
Okay, that makes sense right there. I guess that's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it to have a coach. There's research that indicates that, lots of it, as a matter of fact. So you could do the 1% deal where they just charge you 1% a year and there's no commission, but they charge you a 1% fee to manage everything, but they're there at your beck and call if you need them, and if you want to put more money in, there's no fee, except the next year you're going to get a 1% bill on that money that you put in on top of everything else you put in. But Again, some people love that, and they act like that the people that charge 5 3, some of these people have a holier than thou thing in the financial world, and they act like the people charging 5 3/4 are ripping somebody off. But let's do the math again, because these are the exact same two mutual funds, just two different ways of charging a commission: 1% to manage it, or 5 3/4 up front. So let's take our $100,000 again. 5 3/4 is $5,750. Okay, 1% on 100,000 if it doesn't grow at all, which would be bad, really bad. But if it doesn't grow at all, 1% is $1,000 a year for 10 years is $10,000. So even if you do the 1% with, quote, no commission, you pay more.
Okay, so it's better to do the A shares.
Yeah, as long as you leave it alone. But if you want to buy and sell the funds inside of there, and you want to move some stuff around later on, you're going to pay that stinking 5 3/4 every time you move it around. So the truth is that all three of those work. And I'm okay if you do any of the three as long as you look at them carefully for your situation and you decide. I used to be a huge proponent only of the 5 3/4 up front because of what we just did. But the 1% thing is fine. And the no load is fine. But you're not wholly, if some of these guys in the financial world are Pharisees, and they're like, oh, I'm a 1% guy, and so these other guys are ripping people off with a commission up front. And then the people who don't want anybody to ever be charged a commission are saying anybody who charges a commission are ripping people off. It's just not mathematically true,
Okay.
So,
yeah, I read some of that online.
Yeah, there's a bunch of, and I read one on Forbes today. The guy's like, anybody charges a fee is a rip-off artist and is a used car salesman. Well, that's just not true. There's some of them. There's some of them that are. But if you're, I believe in paying a real estate agent a good commission because you usually sell the house faster and for more money. So sometimes a commission is worth it. You just have to get somebody, A, that knows what they're doing, and B, you understand what you're getting in on. So, hey, man, good question. Thank you for joining us and letting me use you to teach. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Jennifer is in Houston, Texas. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Hi, Dave. I'm great. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
I have a question. I want to retire early. I'm 24 years old, have about $26,000 in retirement, and I want to retire before the age of 40. I want to ask, where can I put my money so I can withdraw it early without penalty? And what are your thoughts on the best ways to retire early?
What does it mean to retire early for you?
To stop working at 40.
At 40, you're not going to ever work again the rest of your life.
I won't go, to a regular day job. I might travel or do my own thing on the side, but I don't want to go to a workplace every day.
Okay. All right. Well, I will tell you, I have a friend that sold his business at 31 years old for millions of dollars, and basically all he did was play golf and fish, and after about 2 years, he almost died because he got fat. And he got completely out of control, and it was not a blessing to not have anything to do with his life. So I always challenge folks, I want you to be financially independent, so I'm with your goal, but I would have a goal of doing something at some point. Mm-hmm. And maybe it is you start something on the side that you want to start now before you actually have the money to quit your job. And you grow your business. That might be a way to go at this. So but what would I invest in? Well, you obviously cannot use 401ks and Roth IRAs because you don't have access to them without penalty until 59 and a half.
Right.
And so I would use those as part of my wealth building just the same. But the portion that you're going to live out of starting at 40, if you're not going to earn much of an income, I would just go to good mutual funds.
Okay.
And just good growth stock type mutual funds that you're going to buy and hold long term. You're going to pay taxes on them as they earn some portions of the income, the dividends and anything they sell. So I'm probably going to lean towards what's called a low turnover mutual fund.
Okay.
A good way to get that is just an S&P 500 index fund. Low turnover means they don't sell the stocks inside of the fund very often. Not much turnover of the portfolio. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And if they don't sell the stocks, then there's no taxes on it until you cash it out.
Right.
And so you'll have very little taxation on a low turnover as you go along until you start using the money after age 40. So what would my plan look like if I were you? It would be three-pronged. Prong number one is I'm probably going to start looking for that thing I want to do with my life. I don't want to wait till 40. I'm going to start working on it now. as my side deal and start to have a small business on the side and move towards, what do I want to do with my life? Something that's filling and that gives me energy and so forth. And and I'm going to make some money with that. Prong 2 is I am going to do 401ks and Roth IRAs for the longer term, but not for the 40-year-old retirement plan. And then I'm going to do low turnover mutual funds in prong 3, something like an S&P 500, which, if you save substantially into that, then you should have a little bit of a nest egg to live out of while you earn some other income doing some other things beginning at age 40. But I want you to stop. I mean, I don't know why you work from age 24 to age 40 at something you hate. I wouldn't. And my point being that I'm 56. I have no desire to retire. I'm financially set for life times 25. I mean, it's no issue. But I have absolutely no desire to retire. And I'm going to work until I don't make sense here on the air, which some people say is already happening. But, I'm not, I don't want to quit. I'm having fun. Now, what I do may change in terms of I run this company as a CEO every day. And that won't be happening when I'm 80, but I may very well be speaking or hanging out or, Kelly and me will still be arguing. It could still happen.
Hey guys, I hope you see that investing and building wealth is simple, but it takes intentionality. Once you're debt-free and have a solid financial foundation, then consistently investing over time is where the real lasting wealth comes from. In other words, the best way to get rich quick is to get rich slow. All right, stay tuned for the next episode in the series because it could possibly be the most dramatic yet. And don't forget to share this video with a friend who would enjoy it. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today. Juliet is with us in Greenville, South Carolina, as promised. Hi, Juliet. How can we help?
Well, I wanted to ask your opinion. Me and my husband last year had about $250,000, and we invested in a CD at our credit union, and it has matured. And we're wondering if we should go back to the same thing, invested in a CD, and or to look elsewhere. And we really don't want to take a risk with the money. So we're both 80 years old, and we didn't feel like we wanted to take a risk in the stock market, but we wanted your opinion of what you thought we should do.
I would go right back and renew that CD.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't pay very much. It's not a very good long-term investment, but it gives you a lot of peace. And you told me 3 times you didn't want risk. And I heard you.
Right.
And I heard you.
Okay.
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 So I'm 63, and I don't have any CDs. All of mine is invested in mutual funds in the stock market. But I'm comfortable with that risk. And I can tell by talking to you that if you did that with your $250,000, you would be awake at night scared.
You're probably exactly right.
And the last thing I want to cause is a sweet 80-year-old person to be awake at night.
Okay. Now let me ask you the second question. Do you think that any of these investment companies, would their CDs pay more than the credit union?
They might, but it's not enough to fool with.
Okay.
In other words, what are you getting on this CD? What are they offering you when you renew it?
Well, I think she said 5.5.
That's not bad at all.
Okay.
Okay. If you got 6, but you were dealing with people you didn't know and trust, like your credit union,
Yes.
Again, this is about sleeping well at night, and I wouldn't go jumping around and get 0.5% more and lose sleep.
Right.
Because you're very comfortable with this credit union, and the NCUA does have a $250,000 guarantee on this, so you're covered on your guarantee. And if the credit union failed, in other words, like an FDIC, but with a credit union, it's not FDIC; it's called the NCUA. But anyway, yeah, you're fine there. I personally would just tell you to stay right there.
Okay, that's what I wanted your opinion. So
Yeah.
that's
But you
what
need,
we'll
but
do.
I'll say it again for the sake of our listeners. That's not because it's that 5.5% is a great long-term investment, because it's really not. It's because I want you to be able to sleep, and 5.5% is a good CD. And we're talking about your comfort here, not about a 20-year investment horizon.
That's right. Okay, so if Juliet called, she's 80 years old, and she says, Dave, we got $250,000. We just cashed out the CD. What's the best? What would you do if you were us? And she wasn't fearful of the risk. Juliet was. She was, again, I appreciated you taking care of her because, yes, we don't want her to be stressed out. But if somebody is 80 years old with $250,000 and they're not worried about it as much, what would you do at 80 years old?
Well, with some of my investments at 63, it would also be more true at 80. I'm already realizing that some of the investing I'm doing is not for me, because I'll never touch it.
Yeah.
It's really for the next generation.
Yeah.
And so you guys, the Ramsey kids are going to be getting this stuff. And so when I make an investment decision now, unless it's a 5 or a 10-year horizon, if I'm buying something out there long term, I'm obviously thinking about, the next generation after I'm gone. And so, if we're to superimpose that on her situation, if you've got $250,000, you're putting it into a CD, that tells me you're not living on it, because that CD is not paying you monthly. Mm-hmm. So you don't need a return on that. So they've got other money that they're living on. Mm-hmm. So they very likely, unless something comes up and they need this money, but they very likely are doing their investing for the next generation at 80 years old. And so if you took that mindset, it'd be easy to put it in mutual funds, because you might not be here 5 years, but the next generation will be.
Sure. Yeah.
And they could leave it alone. Just, we're going to dump $250,000 in mutual funds, and then when we pass, it'll pass to the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's wild.
you never touch it. You're not really investing for yourself at that point.
Yes. Okay. So here's what's funny. I was telling you during the break, Winston and I sat with our SmartVestor Pro this morning. We do it once a year and kind of like look at all the investments. And I was actually telling someone out in the lobby, Avery, she's 15, and she was talking about her Roth IRA. Mm-hmm. And I told her that I looked at when I started mine, and when I started working for you guys, even in high school and all of it. And as we're talking through all the numbers and looking at everything, our investment pro, he was like, okay, this is good. And, and here and here and here. And he's like, and what's crazy is what you guys are investing here, you probably won't touch. It'll be for your kids. And so as you're saying this to me, your daughter, you're investing money that you won't touch. I'm investing money I probably won't touch. And that, you guys, is a family tree change. Like when we say that what you're doing today.
When you don't need the money to live or to do the things you want to do.
To pass that on. And when you give dignity to your kids' parents out there with little ones and teach them to work and be able for them to live out the principles on their own, regardless of what their parents are doing. And then they teach it to their kids, right? It's just this big, big legacy snowball effect that just keeps turning over and over. When everyone does their part in each generation, it just keeps it going down the line. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. And it's really encouraging all to you out there that are on baby steps 1, 2, and 3, and you're really grinding it out.
Well, and if you blink,
you start to do this.
If you blink, it'll be 20 years, because that Roth IRA you did as a teenager is 20 years old. Mm-hmm. And that money that you were working, and, I filed a tax return, I paid the taxes on it, and it
was an $800 initial investment.
Yep.
Isn't that funny? He pulled it up. It was $800.
Yeah. That was what your earned income was that year.
Yeah.
And that's what you're allowed to report, and I put that into a Roth, and then the next year, I think it was probably $1,500 or something or whatever. I mean, several years in a row, we did that with each of you as you worked. And, but I mean, 20 years later, it's amazing what that becomes.
It's great.
It's crazy.
Great.
Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.
Today's question comes from Brian in Missouri. He asks, I'm 27 years old and I have been working in the natural gas industry since I was 20. I don't have a degree and I make very good money and enjoy the work. The last few years, it has seemed that our country is moving away from my industry. I have a fear that late in my career I could be out of a job. Is this a rational fear or am I paranoid? Should I be looking into other careers? Okay, Brian, First of all, I think it's a good question, right? It's a forward-thinking question. What's going on in the natural gas industry? Are these real trends that we need to be worried about? Or is it just kind of the ups and downs as we see new types of energy become available for consumers? Two things on this. I'm not a natural gas expert, but I have a hard time believing that the natural gas industry is going to completely go away. I just don't see that going away. It is still cost effective, and I think it's very viable. However, you are in the industry, and you need to talk to real industry experts in your company, do your homework, and figure out, is this something that over time is going to go completely away? That would be the first question. So I don't think that you need to be fearful. I think that you need to be vigilant. There's a difference. I'm looking, I'm watching, I'm scanning the future, kind of seeing what's moving, but I'm not going to be fearful. Now, the second thing, George, that I would say to Brian is you do a certain type of work in the natural gas industry, right? So you aren't someone who is only capable of working in that industry. You are in, let's call it the energy industry. So therefore, whatever you do in your day-to-day work and the skill set that you've developed, plus the experience that you've developed, is all going to allow you to move into multiple different industries. So from that standpoint, I wouldn't be afraid at all.
Yeah, I think these skills are going to transfer to whatever industry, if it even does go away, Ken, like you're talking about. I don't know that it will in our lifetime.
I honestly can't see it unless natural gas just becomes a almost like an extinct resource. But I got to tell you, I use it all the time. I've got a world-class griddle, George. It's huge. And it connects right to the old gas line.
Natural gas. People love it.
And
People
I
love to
can
cook on it.
Man, let me tell you something.
All over the country.
It's fantastic.
So, yeah, I don't see it going away anytime soon, but I think he does have a right to stay afoot with
He's
the trends.
He's a smart guy. I would get the facts.
Unless I start seeing other natural gas companies shut down, layoffs are happening all around me, I see the writing on the wall, but let's not lose sleep over that right now.
No.
That could be 30, 40, 100 years from now.
Yeah,
we just don't
here's
know.
the key, and I want other people to hear this because this is a relevant question for a large portion of our audience. Your skill set and your experience is transferable. I'm going to say it again. Your skill set and your experience is transferable. You might need to get a certification here or there, but the bottom line is you are not stuck in one industry. And I get this call all the time on the Ken Coleman Show. Ken, I'm a teacher. I want to get out. Ken, I'm a nurse. I want to get out, or whatever it is. We hear this the most from our military men and women. They feel like because they've only had a career in the military that they can't get a job in the private sector. And I said, wait a second. You work for one of the great organizations in the world, and you have skills, yes or no, and you have experience. And then where is that transferable in the private sector? And the reality is in today's world, our military men and women are just premium because of their discipline, because of their character and commitment. So don't get too scared. Just start looking into it.
Good encouragement for Brian there. Thanks for the question.
Max is with us in Salt Lake City. Hi, Max. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Afternoon, gentlemen. I appreciate you accepting my call.
Sure. What's up?
Yes, sir. So I'm a 50-year-old married male. Been married for about 7 years. I believe we could retire, but I'm not sure if we should.
Okay. What's the goal here? What's the goal? What do you want to do?
I guess that's the concern. We've been very fortunate. We've played by the rules. I've had a spreadsheet budget that each tab goes back all the way to 1999.
Wow.
And so I have. It's kind of like reading the rings on a tree. If you go to a certain tab, you can kind of see what happened in my life in that specific year. But we have 4 rental homes. We have one pension already secured, and we're receiving that each month. My wife works, and I also have another career now. Mm-hmm. We should get a second pension in 5 years when I'm 55 through the military. Mm-hmm. And so I guess.
And what is your net worth?
Honestly, I don't know. We account for our 4 rental homes. They are paid off. Mm-hmm. We live in a fifth wheel. We've lived in a fifth wheel for about 5 years now, so that we can have cash flow through the rentals. I would estimate probably $650,000 net
mm-hmm.
Net worth. And I guess the biggest concern, and you hit it on the nail on the head when you said, what's the goal? What I have found that for a very long time now, I've always woken up and had a goal, had something I wanted to achieve, had something I wanted to, a medal I wanted to put on my chest or something I wanted to put on my wall. I never thought that 50 years old I would kind of be lost, because I don't know if we should go for a fifth home. I don't know if we should just call it good. We're making now 14.2 a month net. Our total expenditures each month outflow are about 2.3. And I kind of had this wild dream of I've been a private pilot since I was 18, so 32 years. And I was talking to my wife that maybe someday I can take about $35,000 and go after a instructor rating, and maybe I can do that part time until basically the FAA says I'm too old to do it. But then I don't think I'm going to make the return on the investment if I did that. I guess I'm just looking for something to wake up in the morning for. But the money's easy. The numbers are easy. But now that we're here, I don't know.
Yeah, I do want you to change gears, though, from doing your duty, because you're a man of honor who's always done his duty, to finding something that you make money doing while actually enjoying it. And I don't care if you make a lot of money. It wouldn't make me mad.
The challenge about the question.
Even if the return wasn't it with it?
The challenge about the question you're asking, Max, is you've ROI'd joy. You've put a spreadsheet to what matters, and you've spreadsheeted out relationships. You've spreadsheeted out excitement. You've spreadsheeted out happiness. You've spreadsheeted out joy, and it's very hard to capture those things with a 10 key. And the challenge is you're asking a question, what can I go do? What can I go seek that's going to fill that gap inside of me? And that's going to come from the inside out, not the outside in. So the question Dave's asking you is a profound one. What do you want to do, man?
Yeah. And so here I'll give you a hint, okay? I'm going to send you Ken Coleman's career assessment and his new book, From Paycheck to Purpose, because what's missing here is purpose.
Yep.
Yes, I'll give you a place to look. Find something where you're serving other people and making their life better that makes you smile. And then I want you to do that with great scale and go make $1 million doing that. Because you're only 50. You've still got 20 or 25 good, hard years of work that you can bring value to other people's lives. And by the way, if you do that in a proper way inside your skill set, they will give you, as my friend Rabbi Daniel Lappin says, certificates of appreciation with presidents' faces on them. When you serve others and make their life better, they are grateful. Just like when you have a great experience in a high-end white tablecloth restaurant, you are more than happy to say thank you to the person who served you by leaving an outrageous tip. And that's the way the economy should work, is when we serve each other, there's a transfer of wealth that results, and I want you to get that, because you've just been grinding.
On my notes here, Dave, as he was talking, you could see the word I wrote. I wrote the word service. I just wrote that word down as he was speaking. The only way out of this trap is to go be about making somebody else's life better.
And it doesn't have to be a nonprofit.
Nope.
We can argue that Steve Jobs, like him or not, like Apple or not, made lots of people's lives better with these magic wands we carry around in our hands called phones that we can do anything with now, and became bazillionaires because they made a bunch of people's life better, and we can go on from there.
Or something as silly as, you were with me at a park maybe a month or two ago, and your wife and Henry Cloud had to peer pressure me into getting on a roller coaster because I'm terrified of heights. That's my thing. And the other day, you and I jumped out of an airplane together with a guy who...
With parachutes,
With
by the way.
parachutes, yes. We made it. But
otherwise we would have left our mark.
But somebody...
left it all on the field.
Served us laughter and joy and overcoming fears, and that dude was incredible, and he kept us safe, and he walked us through it. That's a service, as far as I'm. I mean, it was a thing. For
they were
me, right?
incredible.
Incredible.
The team, made skydiving not terrifying.
Yes, which is less than I can say about you pulling us on a tube behind your boat, right? But here's the deal.
I was trying to serve you, John.
Sir, you served
you up to the water.
I'm about 18% lake water right now.
Yeah.
But service can look like a lot of different things, but it's going out and saying, where can I bring people joy? Where can I meet a need in the world that's not being met? And go do that thing for other people, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's going to help in this situation. So mathematically, you can do a lot of stuff. You've got some pensions, and you've got some margin, and you've got some net worth, and you've got time. I do think you need to change gears. Oh, I'll tell you the book you ought to read. I got it. It's called Halftime by Bob Buford. And Bob, the thesis of the book, for those of you that haven't read Halftime, it's an old book, but it's a great book, is that men, particularly males, when they reach halftime in the game, they go from acquisition to significance. And if you don't move from acquisition in the first half of your life to significance in the second half of your life, if you don't make that move, you're susceptible to midlife crises, blondes, and convertibles.
Wow.
And so you're going to find significance doing something. You're going to find excitement doing something in the second half. First half is just grind, and acquisition is fine. And by the way, the first half is not a chronological thing. It's an emotional thing. I did my halftime at 28 when I went broke. And so I reached the point after going broke, I don't give a crap what anybody thinks. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. And I went to significance, which is this thing has been done for 30 years now, 30 plus years. So been on the air for 30 years. But but that's that whole movement. There's a movement there that's tied to the midlife crisis idea and all that kind of stuff. But you're just having a chronologically a little bit later halftime. It doesn't mean you're emotionally stunted. That's not what I'm saying. But this guy, that we're talking to here, Max. But I think hey, what's the next adventure?
Yeah.
Look for an adventure of service.
A man without a purpose is an untethered, scary, dangerous person. Go find a purpose, man.
Yeah.
Go serve.
Hang on, I'll have Austin pick up. We're going to send you a copy of that. Ken call all of Ken's materials and assessment and the book as well, From Paycheck to Purpose. Thank you for joining us, America. We're glad you're here. Essence is with us in Tulsa. Hi, Essence. How are you?
Hi.
What's up?
I am. I'm so excited to talk to you. So me and my husband are trying to restart. Well, we never actually officially started, trying to start, with the baby steps. The hardest part is getting the $1,000 and, the debt snowball or whatever. And I'm having the hardest time trying to figure it out because I feel like our debt is so huge, our expenses are so much, and our income is not matching that. So I need some help on what to do, kind of how to start, and, just some words because, we're upside down our car. I tried to sell that, but it's not worth much anymore, but we still owe. So,
what's your income?
My husband makes $17 an hour, and I make $20 an hour.
Mm-hmm. Are you getting 40 hours?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you got good income coming in.
Yes. I think it's just so much debt, and the expenses is the biggest part.
And you don't have a budget.
Well, we tried for a minute.
You don't have a budget.
No, we don't. Sorry.
Yeah, you just don't. I know you don't. Because you're making enough money. How much are your car payments?
It's $400 a month, and then the insurance is $163 for. Right. It's just one car payment, and we own our other car.
That's good. Okay. And how much is your rent?
It's $900 a month.
Okay. And what other debt do you have?
As far as debt, my husband has 20 in student loans, and I have 90 in student loans. Mm-hmm. And medical bills, credit cards.
Mm-hmm. How much do you owe? How much do you owe on the medical bills?
I would say our medical bills. I just started paying $25 a month on those.
How much do you owe on the medical bills?
I would say it's probably maybe $5,000.
Maybe. Okay.
Maybe.
Which means you don't know. Okay.
No, not exactly.
And how much do you owe on credit cards?
We owe about $1,800.
Okay. All right. Here's what's going on. All right. After doing this for 30 years, you guys are not organized. And here's what I want you to pretend. I want you to pretend that I was going to hire you and pay you $200,000 to straighten out these people's finances. And these people's finances is you. Pretend like you just got the best job you've ever gotten in your life, that somebody was going to pay you $200,000. However, if you do not straighten out their finances, you're going to get fired. Now, what would you do? You'd get real stinking serious and real stinking detailed immediately. And there wouldn't be any, I don't know. You'd know exactly what your medical bills are. You'd know exactly what your credit cards are. You would lay out a detailed, in-depth budget every month, and you and your husband would lash yourself to a tree until you got this done. You would tie, duct tape around your ankles to keep you out of a restaurant, and you would get this mess straightened out. That's what's got to happen here. You guys have been playing with this, and I'm not fussing at you. I'm just observing.
No,
I'm just observing. And I want you to win, and you called me because you want to win. But what's going to have to happen is you got to get serious, so serious that you're not doing anything else. You're like obsessing about, like I was paying you $200,000 a year. You got a new job making $200,000 a year. You're getting paid $20,000 a month to straighten these people's finances out. That's your job. And these people happen to be just like you and your husband. And you're going to get fired if you don't get them straightened out. That's how you treat it. And you're like, oh my God, I gotta get it. I'm not going to think I don't want to lose a $200,000 job. I'm going to get so serious it's going to be unbelievable. And we're not thinking about nothing else. And we're going to babysit these people. And we're not going to let them make any dumb decisions. And we're going to put them on a detailed budget. And then we're going to lay out that debt snowball in detail. You have enough coming in to get this done. Now, you may have to put some of that huge student loan on hardship deferral. If you're paying on it at all. If you're not paying on it, then it's not really draining you right now. And you quickly get that $1,000 in place, and then you begin to whittle down and beat on the debt snowball. And yeah, you may pick up extra jobs or extra hours. You may try to get that car sold. As you said, you've already tried to do that. You're upside down. You've got to work through those things. There's a lot of work for you all to do. But to be able to get under control and save that first $1,000 is going to require a lot more intentionality around the details and the organization of the debt snowball. Obsess on the details and the budget. Go to everydollar.com and get that laid out.
Hey guys, Rachel Cruz here. Hope you enjoyed that video from the Dave Ramsey Show. If you want to watch another great video, check out my video, 3 Things You Should Consider Renting, right over here, or click the link in the description below.
Let's go to Rudy in Miami, Florida. Rudy, how can we help?
Hey, how are you? It's an honor today. Thank you for the time.
You bet. Thanks for calling. What's up?
No problem. Okay, so to get to the meat and potatoes of it, so long story short, I started a business with my ex 12 years ago. Very unique business where we manufacture bicycles. It was great for many, many, many years, but obviously like a typical story you hear, we broke up a few years back. So, for a few years, we've been trying to run the business kind of like, however you want to call it. But in the last couple of years, it's kind of been like a head button, very, very, dramatic type of, situation, to the point where, it influences employees and just a very toxic environment. And I've been, trying to lay down all the framework to potentially, buy her out and see what we can do. But currently, I'm in a situation where I don't have the funding that I can buy her out on. And she's actually the stronger partner of us too. So she actually, she took a little of the bearing of the credit, she took a little more debt than I did. So she's a little more reluctant to walk away and really leave anything on the table, loose ends. So
are you guys 50-50?
Yes, we're 50-50.
And that's not just a handshake. That's written down, and we've got some bylaws, and we've got all that written out.
Oh yeah, all written out.
Okay.
As intricate as it can get. She's actually very, very, I guess you could say old-fashioned with that. So like everything is overly papered and all.
So what's the heart of your question?
The heart of my question is, so I want to continue the business. I actually we started together technically 12 years ago, but she didn't really start coming in full time for like a year and a half later. So it really is my baby at heart. But I'm trying to figure out, like, how do I get, like, I'm at the point where I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into this. I'm at the point for my own health, sanity. I studied finance in school. It's a random thing I got into that it's almost worth just signing over the paperwork and saying, have it all. Like, it's not worth my health and everything.
I think that's your
my
answer.
My new relationship, it's amazing, but it's starting to affect it a little bit. And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like the energy, if I sign it off and just put it out
Rudy,
there.
she doesn't want to sell the business, right? Like, you guys don't want to just get out, both of you?
She always says she does, but she's kind of like, she comes from a lot of money.
Will she buy you out? Will she buy you out?
That's what I've been trying to do, and that's what I've been trying to get her to do, but she just keeps throwing it at me like, this is, I have no interest in this, so I'm not going to get any further.
Yep. So you can't control her, Rudy. So for you and your sanity, I mean, you could chalk it up to what we call stupid tax around here.
I'd walk. I think you answered the question yourself. You just kind of laid it out there.
It's going to hurt, but it may be worth it in the long run, Rudy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would follow your heart on this.
This is why y'all don't go into business when you're not married. Man.
Oh, boy.
Rudy, sorry.
Yeah. You got to walk, man. This is The Ramsey Show.
Randy's with us. Randy is in Cedar Rapids. Hi, Randy. Welcome to The Ramsey Show.
Hey, guys. I appreciate y'all taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
Hey, so I've been following y'all's program for a while now, and we've gotten to the point where I'm in baby steps 4, 5, and 6, and just not really feeling traction. And so my question for you guys is there something I'm missing? I don't want to be just reactive to things, but proactive in some of this. So we have.
What do you mean you're not feeling traction?
Like, it's been a couple of years, and like life keeps hitting us. So, like, for example, we had what's called a derecho, which is basically an on-land hurricane of sustained winds of 180 miles an hour. So, some stuff on an old house that insurance wouldn't cover that we had to prepare. We had 2 babies in the midst of this journey as well. So, saved up for those and paid cash for all those things. We now have paid cash for both of our reliable cars now that we've upgraded. So
how old are you?
We've been investing 27, sir.
Wow, you're killing it.
Dude, this is called life, and you're winning it.
Yeah, I mean, I missed the part where you're not getting traction.
What are you talking about?
Babies, paid for storm repairs. I mean, you're rocking this.
We've been investing, 15, 20% now for a couple of years. And
your house paid for?
Ross, not quite. So
then you should not be doing but 15%.
We have 5 years left on our.
Yeah, you should be doing 15% at baby step 4 onto your house. No more, not 20.
Gotcha. So dial that back.
And so you're gonna have a paid off house when you're 32. You know who would trade places with you?
Everybody.
A couple of 100 million Americans.
Yeah.
Let me. In all honesty, let me tell you what I think it is. You thought it would feel differently, and everyone I've ever sat down with, whether they are multi-millionaire or they're a pro athlete, or they thought that there would be this resolution, that suddenly Dad would text out of the blue and be like, "Hey, I've never called you and told you I'm really proud of you. I want you to know I'm proud of you." That call's never coming. Right? Or that I was just going to wake up and suddenly like, I'm a good-looking guy. I feel great. That resolution never comes. And so then you're in a you're in a position, brother, where you're going to start doing dumb stuff if you continue to chase feelings instead of just stay in the path. Because you're going to start seeking feeling. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And people rarely cheat on their spouse because of their spouse. They cheat on their spouse because it makes them feel alive again. They rarely go buy a new sports car because it's a great purchase, but it makes them feel alive for 5 seconds. And you're in danger of going down that road if you deviate from the path. That's why the path is so important, man, because it gives us something to lean on when we quote unquote don't feel right. It's why I map out my workout programs, because I don't I don't feel like it in the morning, right? But I've already got it written out. Man, stay on the path, stay on the path. From two old guys way older than you, bro, you're
doing great.
So good, man. Stay on the path.
You're doing great.
How often have you heard that over the years?
Oh, it happens all the time. Yeah, when you get to baby step 4, it just slows down. It changes
like
from
the adrenaline's gone.
It changes from intensity
to life.
That is great to intentional. And intentional is not nearly as exciting as intensity.
Yeah.
And so intentional is a marathon, intensity is a sprint. It changes everything. Craig's in Jacksonville, Florida. Hi, Craig. How are you?
Good, sir. How are you doing today?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Doing good, and it's an honor to finally meet you. And sorry, I'm just a little nervous.
It's okay. How can we help?
I had a quick question. I was trying to figure out, I guess, how I would stay motivated during the baby step 2. I've been listening to you for about a year through all your YouTube videos and podcasts, and I was listening to some of the videos before I called you today, and that's what encouraged me to call. I'm currently, again, working on baby step 2. I've probably paid about $35,000 out of the $60,000 in debt so far.
Way to go.
And I'm just kind of hitting an emotional, like mental and motivation speed bump in this process.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I just have a bunch of stuff on my mind with the career path I have, family issues going on, my health and everything. So things have just kind of taken a toll over this whole year of grinding out through this debt-paying journey that I'm on.
What's wrong with your health?
I have congestive heart failures since I was 26. I'm 30 years old now.
So that did not change.
No, sir.
Okay. What's wrong with your family?
My mother and father actually have split up and now kind of reworking their relationship. So that's kind of a cause too on everything, because I actually stay with family member because of the health issue I have. So
you stay with one of them?
I stay at my grandmother's house. She bought the house when we moved here in Florida, and I've been staying there.
Okay, so your parents are not in your space every day, but they're going through their own crap, right?
They are, and my father tends to use me as a crutch while I'm going through what I'm going through, and sometimes it's very hard.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you said you have a career path issue?
Yes, I'm currently a manager at a local Walgreens I work with. I make about $31,000 a year, and I'm blessed to have a job because I was working at a different job before COVID, and then I switched back to this job. And I'm just kind of not really happy where I'm at because of the amount I make. And it has got me through the first year of me paying my debt that I have, but I've just kind of felt like slowly my motivation starting to hit rock bottom.
That makes sense. Yeah, because here's what's happening. You feel like this job's happening to you. You're not happening to it. You feel like your parents' mess is happening to you. You're not happening to it. And the heart thing is happening to you, and obviously you can't happen to it. You don't get to control that one. But these things are controlling you because you're allowing them to.
Yes, sir.
The parents' mess and your job mess. So you have here's the thing. It's hard to have a sense of power over your money when you have a sense of powerlessness in key relationships and powerlessness in your career.
Yes, sir.
It's because it's sucking what confidence you gain a little confidence over here in the money thing. Like you paid off $35,000, that's really good, but then it gets sick. It's like your dad and mom come along with a confidence syringe and remove it.
Mm-hmm.
Craig, how long did it take to pay off the 35?
I actually started last July, and that's including working at my job with overtime and side gigs here and there.
Dude, you've been living off nothing. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I've literally, every 2 weeks, I literally live off $150 in beans and rice and beans, literally.
Wow. Well, on the health side, that's something you've got to manage. That's obviously not something we can just fix overnight. On the parent side, it may require a boundary with dad and a hard conversation. Say, Dad, listen, you need to find a good therapist, a counselor who can help walk you through this. I can't be that for you. And on the career side, you can go be a manager somewhere else. You can start applying today and probably make way more than 31.
Yes, sir.
And so if you have that pep in your step going, I'm in control, I can do this. And worst case, you're doing this for 1 year longer. Why'd you start the baby steps to begin with?
Because I wanted that financial freedom. I remember not having any debt, having money in the bank, able to buy something I wanted, not go, take like a car payment or anything out, but just having that financial freedom and not that burden.
You know what the problem with a free book is? Nobody reads them because they were free. Nobody paid for it. You didn't pay for it. But I'm going to give you 2 free books anyway on the risk that I can get you to read them. I'm going to give you Paycheck to Purpose by Ken Coleman. So you get up on top of this career thing and you start happening to it instead of it happening to you. And I'm going to give you Own Your Past, Change Your Future from Dr. John Deloney, so you can begin to have some tools to work with mom and dad and say, I love you, but I can't fix this. I'm actually the kid. You're actually the parent. I can't fix this. And so only the strong can help the weak, and you are not strong enough to carry your dad right now. So him being using you as a crutch, he's got a rubber crutch. He's going to hit the floor. So and you're both going down. So you've got to love him, but not be carrying around his stuff. You're carrying around all of his burdens instead of him carrying them. And you feel stuck over at the job because you haven't done anything about getting unstuck. So I'm going to give you both books, and they're 2 different things. But this all comes back to, Craig, you taking power, you taking George's word, agency over your life in these areas. And when you do, you're going to get some energy back for getting out of debt. But right now you got these 3 negative drains pulling you down while you've got one area you're being successful in. That is very difficult for anyone, my man.
Well, Dave, I'm going to add in one more gift in case he gets sick of reading. Craig, I'm going to send you Financial Peace University. You can watch those videos. It also will include Every Dollar, the premium version, so you can make a plan for every dollar coming in and attack this debt faster, because I don't want you to have to sacrifice longer than you have to.
Yeah, that's good. And try to find one of the Financial Peace groups in your area and join
that's good.
it.
Get connected and
get
real
some
people.
Human beings in the room with you
who are excited that you showed up again.
That'll hold you accountable. They're not going to put up with whining, but they also, on the other side, are going to love you and just say, hey, man, you can do this. They'll encouragement and accountability we all need in areas where we're struggling. So, yeah, we'll plug you into all of that. So, we're going to load you up with resources because it's easy to have this many things coming at you that are stealing power in so many different areas. It's easy to feel powerless. The interesting thing is you're not. That you can just decide today, I'm not carrying my father's stuff around. He gets to carry his own stuff.
I can apply for a new job.
I love him, and I know he's hurting, but I can't fix all that. I'm going to let him carry his own deal. And here's his backpack. And I don't want to be at this Walgreens anymore. So
Dr. John talks about that all the time, the bricks in the backpack that we carry around from other people, putting them in there.
Yep.
And we're wondering why we can't even crawl.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
You got to unpack.
Exactly what's going on here. So, yeah, you can do this, man. You really can. And if you need some more help, you call back anytime. We're here to talk to you. And
give Ken Coleman a call on his show. That'd be a fun one.
Yeah.
On the career side.
Yeah. We'll always tell you the truth, but I just kind of hear it. And, when you don't have, when you don't physically feel great because of the heart thing going on, it makes it triple hard to fight through the other stuff. So it's a mental exercise of mental toughness for you to move through these other areas, controlling the things you can control, and then things start to move for you.
And let go of the rest.
That's exactly it. Hey, thank you for calling, sir. Hang on. We'll get you all those materials out to you and try to help you any way we can.
Today's question comes from Taylor in Maryland. Taylor writes, I'm married to a serious spendthrift. I started using every dollar when he was incarcerated 3 years ago. Well, I'll go ahead and underline that one. With my single income, I was able to tithe, pay all our bills on time, fund car and home repairs, and pay off $40,000 in student loan debt, with $65,000 left to go. Can I just stop there? Incredible, Taylor. Way to go. In our phone conversations, he makes big future money plans that I think are unwise. If we benefit from the Navient settlement where the debt is canceled and refunds are paid out, the timing of the payout would be just after he'll return home. How do I deal with the stress of trying to keep any refund from being wasted? He's seen the success from following the plan, and his response is basically, that's great, I'm proud of you, but we're not following that plan when I get home.
Woo. There's a lot of yikes going on in this situation, John. But, man, Taylor's incredible. If we just solo her out, I'm like, man, she's crushing it.
It does my heart good when we can just stop the party here for a second and just call somebody out and say, what an incredible human being. While your husband was in jail for a couple of 3 years, you managed to take control back in your home, and I guarantee you took control back in your heart and your mind, your spirit, and you started just saying, how can I move forward? And instead of curling up, you went after it. Man, this is incredible. This is an inspiring person. Yeah. So, George, here's a problem I see that haunts all of us, okay? Not just Taylor, it haunts all of us. And I'll use this as an example. When my son was born, he was a day old, and we brought him, or 2 days, 3 days old, we brought him home from the hospital. I could see the chaos that erupted into our home. I didn't know we had to change diapers. I knew we had to change diapers. I didn't know it was 10 times a day, and I didn't know this and all that. And suddenly this clock started ticking in my head, which was when things get back to normal. When things are just going to get back to the way they were. When me and my wife could just go on dates whenever we wanted to, and we could spend money like idiots. We could do whatever we wanted to do when they just gets back to normal, right? And whether it's having a new baby, whether it's dating and then getting married, whether it's getting a new job, moving to a new town, or whether it's your husband's coming home from 3 years, it's so easy to just default to, well, when things get back to the way they were. And unfortunately, and fortunately, there is no going back, right? Things are different now. And so I love this analogy that you could not go to Manhattan and get all of the glass and steel and smoke and dust and sweep it all up and rebuild the Twin Towers. You can't do that. We had to go in with architects and construction firms and demo teams and excavate the whole site, get some professionals around us and say, what's this new building going to look like? And we get to redesign it. It gets to be strong. It gets to be arguably beautiful. It gets to be a monument to what was and a nod to the future. And then we're going to rebuild something completely different. So when I look at somebody like this, like Taylor, who has had to be on their own because for whatever reason, her husband was in jail for 3 years, there is no going back. There's Taylor's world now, right? And Taylor sounds like she's found a new voice. She's found some actions that back up that voice, and she's found 2 feet planted in the ground. And what I want Taylor to do is to immediately go sit with a counselor that's going to help with reentry here. How are you going to learn how to speak your boundaries out loud? How are you going to say, I'm sorry, but this is like, we're going to do this together now. You're not just going to come home and start making up the rules that got you in trouble in the first place, right?
Ooh, yeah.
And it's about, we're going to excavate what was. We used to run the house this way. You used to do some things this way. We're now going to do things different. And then you got to have your or what statement, right? And so if somebody comes home out of jail and immediately throws my family back into a situation where we're not safe, we're going to have some hard conversations, right?
Yeah, I just kept thinking, Taylor's a different person now.
That's
than
right.
She was 3. She started the plan after he went to jail.
Right.
And now here she is, a different person with a different set of plans and values and goals and different financial standing. And
different strength,
yeah.
Right? Different grit and resilience and autonomy. These deeply embedded character things. Her body went from fight or flight to we're moving forward, right? And that's a different physiology. Right?
I just kept thinking Taylor's better off alone than she is with him. That was my honest thought. If you want to know, John.
Well, when it comes to money, possibly. And it sounds like we always read into these things. It sounds like she is hesitant about him coming home.
Yeah.
And so, man, I want you to get with somebody that's going to help turn these boundaries, these newfound actions, this newfound character, newfound strength. That's going to be able to turn that into something that you can share with somebody and that you can stand up and say, no. This is my boundaries from this point forward.
Yeah, counseling is a non-negotiable here,
that's
for
right.
sure.
Matthew's in Atlanta. Hi, Matthew. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Sure. What's up?
All right. So I want to start off with I'm a big fan of baby steps. I'm 24 years old. Currently just finished building a house. Did a lot of the work myself with the help of friends and family, and was able to build a house for under $200,000 in this crazy market we're in. But basically, I'm at a point with that project kind of depleted my savings, but I'm starting to have some serious truck troubles. And I know you are anti-car payment, and I'm just trying to figure out what I kind of need to start preparing for, because it's an old pickup truck. It's got almost 300,000 miles on it, and it leaks oil. Doesn't have AC. It's just, it's basically, it needs new tires. It just needs a lot of stuff, and it probably needs more than the truck is worth.
All of that was happening while you were building the house.
Yes.
So why did it now become a dadgum emergency?
Well,
I mean, that was happening 6 months ago. It was leaking oil.
Yeah.
6 months ago, it had 298,000 miles on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to give you permission to turn it into drama now when you didn't then.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you make a year?
About 36,000.
Okay. What other debts do you have?
I have some debt to some family members to help me kind of seal the deal with getting the house finished in time, because with all the material rate increases.
How much do you owe your family?
Right at 50,000.
And what's this house worth? About 300?
No, it appraised for 500,000.
Way to go, man! Congratulations. Okay.
Thank you.
What do you do for a living to make $36,000 a year?
I work for a local property management company doing maintenance. So basically, we manage rental properties, and I help fix them when they break.
Okay, good for you. Okay, two things I would do if I woke up in your shoes.
Okay.
I was pushing on you because the change in the truck is not material, only the change in your situation. In other words, the truck was not a crisis before, but it became a crisis now that you finished the house, and you looked up and went, "Oh crap! Look what I did."
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and you go, "What if this thing falls down on me?" Well, here's the thing: probably you've got 6 months before the thing lays down.
Okay.
But very likely you got 3 months. Would you agree with that?
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's just you just looked up and went, "This roof looks bad. It's probably going to leak, but it's not yet leaking." And that's kind of what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way I'm analyzing this. If I'm missing something, you can argue with me. That's okay.
Okay.
So what I do in your shoes, man, you have a gift in knowing how to work with your hands, and you can make a lot of money building decks on the weekends or doing maintenance handyman work for somebody on the weekends. And I'll bet you could pile up $5,000 or $6,000 in 2 or 3 months, side jobs.
Yeah. And I do have a woodworking business that I'm kind of in the process of starting up.
Do you make any money at it?
I haven't turned a profit yet.
Okay. I want you to go make some money to buy a truck. I'm not talking about your dreams. I want you to go make some money to buy a truck.
Okay.
Like because you're driving a $2,000 truck. We need to get you into a $6,000 or an $8,000 truck, so you need $5,000 or $6,000.
Okay.
And you need that in the next 90 days, and you need to get that as extra income. Way to go.
And this next truck is not going to be pretty, and your buddies in the construction trade are going to make fun of you when you pull up to the site.
They already do, though.
That's right. And so none of that's going to change. My fear is that you got a house now, and you started flexing your muscles a little bit, and you think guys in houses should drive cars that look like X or Y.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to start getting too big for your britches. You owe your family. Like the way you talked about how you got into this house, I did it for $200,000. And then you quietly whispered, and I had to go ask mommy for $50,000 too. Right? So there's a little bit of flexing and a little bit of reality. Let's do this all the right way, and let's work like a maniac for the next 12 to 18 to 24 months. Pay off mom and dad. Pay out. Get yourself a truck that you can rely on, and build your business. You're worth more than $36,000, my friend, with the skills you've got.
Yeah, you need to be making more money overall. That's a Ken Coleman thing there. But as far as what you called about, as far as the truck, 90 days, $2,000 a month is $6,000. Sell the truck for $2,000. That's an $8,000 truck. That's a move up. That's not a permanent solution, but that keeps you from being left on the side of the road without anything working. You're probably going to put some tires on it in the meantime too. Because you might blow a tire. That's very real. I don't know how bad the tires are. You got to look at them. But if you can make it 4 months with the tires, because tires do not increase the value of a $2,000 truck.
Yep.
So putting $1,000 worth of tires on there doesn't solve anything except keep you from being stranded. So that's what I would do. And the second thing I would do is I would just run down to the credit union, if you can talk them into it, to loaning you $50,000 on a $500,000 house, fixed rate on a 1-year note, and pay it off in 1 year, and go ahead and pay off mom and dad today.
Yes.
Because Thanksgiving dinner tastes different when you owe your relatives money. The borrower is slave to the lender, and it changes relationships, and I wouldn't want that even for a year if I were in your shoes. But if you don't have any choices, then you just need to do what John said and roll up your sleeves, and after you get the truck, let's go ahead and get the family loan cleared after that. So, but great job. $36,000 sitting in a $500,000 house, almost paid for.
Dave, he's on a precipice. He is right on that edge where 24-year-olds become 25, 26-year-olds, and he can look up and owe nobody anything.
And be a millionaire.
And be a millionaire in short order. Or he could fall backwards into normal. A 2024 F-350 dually and plus this and plus a bunch of tools.
Owes more on that than he does on the house.
And be in a mess. He's sitting right on that precipice, man.
Yeah, you could fall off into stupid right here real easy.
Real easy, man.
Yeah,
from two guys who did it, right?
Yeah. This is true. And why did it involve trucks in both of our cases?
Both of our cases.
There you go. So, there you go. Anyway, we know the type. We look at them in the mirror.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Hey, nice call, Matthew. And overall, man, I got to tell you, this is pretty impressive. 24 years old, $50,000 owed on a $500,000 house. Very impressive. Very well done, sir. But yeah, John's right. Don't fall the wrong way on this. There's lean up the hill. Don't fall back. Randy is with us in Orlando. Hi, Randy. How are you?
Hi, I'm very good. Yourself?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
So I'm actually a new listener to the show, and I have a question, and it's that I am graduating this month from my undergrad with a health science degree, and I got admitted to a doctoral degree program of physical therapy. And, I'm going to be living off the student loans. The program itself is going to cost me probably around $130,000 in the 3-year mark, and living off the loans is going to be like $150,000. Now I'm married, and my wife makes about $24,000. I was wondering if she should help me pay for. She's also going to school, but should she help me pay interest while I'm in school on the loan? I also have a car note. So I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's all right. You got a lot going on. How old are you guys?
I'm 23. My wife is 22.
Gotcha. And how long have you been married?
We got married. We've been married 1 year.
Okay, cool. Well, congratulations on almost graduating. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good for you. Okay. Well, what I do for a living is and what I've spent my life doing for the last quarter of a century is teaching people the shortest method to becoming wealthy and living their dreams. Okay? and not letting their dreams in the process turn into a nightmare. And my experience has shown with millions of listeners and tens of thousands of these conversations and people we've walked with through many different decades and age groups and professions that $150,000 of student loan debt is insanity. It's it's not going to be pleasant. There's nothing about this that's going to be fun. And so I have a 26-year-old son and a 30-year-old daughter and a 32-year-old daughter. So if you were my son, I would say let's try to figure out a different way to live your dream, because I'm really afraid your dream's going to turn into a nightmare. The first thing I would tell you to do is I think you ought to stop and look at two things immediately, and you can do that tonight, and I want you to do a little bit of research. You know how to do research. You're graduating from college. And you can start with the internet if you want. You can go deeper with the research. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to find several, not just one, but several credible sources on what a physical therapist in the Orlando area makes.
I did the research. Starting out of school, it's $65,000 minimum.
You're going to spend $150,000 in the hole for a $65,000 job.
Well, it's just the job outlook. It's the unemployment rate on that job. It's 2% or less. And so,
well, you better hope you're employed, because you are deep in the mud.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. And
see, most people that spend $150,000 come out and they're like a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean, after the 10-year mark, I mean, or usually about 6+, they make over $100,000 here in the Orlando area. And so my wife is studying dental hygiene too.
Yeah, but your wife can do that without you going to PT school. And I think you're going to be hard-pressed to actually go interview a PT in Orlando that's making much over $100,000. That's a fairly rare animal right there. We do coaching, financial coaching for a living, so I get to see, and our team gets to see a lot of people doing a lot of wonderful things. As an RN, you can make as much as you can make doing being a PT in most cases. And so, and actually get more work and more job stability and more hours. You know, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with being a PT. So that's thing one. I'm going to challenge that you're paying too much for a $65,000 up to $100,000 job over 6 years. I want you to rethink that part. But you don't have to rethink your whole dream just because you called Dave Ramsey, but I'm just giving you some things to crunch on, okay? Second thing I want you to do is let's find another way to skin this cat. Where else can we go to PT school that's not so freaking expensive?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's an extremely competitive program. The fact that I got in was already hard in its sense.
I know it's tough, but I think I may go another round, and because here's the thing: it's a competitive program, but it's also competitive for them. They like to get the money, and the price you're telling me to get this degree is a little high, dude.
Yeah, I applied to 8 schools, and I got in 1.
Yeah, but go back and look what the prices are on all those 8.
Okay.
And you're going to see a vast array of prices. You're not going to see they're all $145 to $165, and you're paying $150. No. You're going to find out you're overpaying here 30 to 40%. Just because it's the one you got accepted into. So it's a mixed blessing. You got accepted into an expensive one. Now, I guess the third thing we can add to the equation is what can we do to get somebody else to pay for this? Like, is there since it's a competitive market and there's a 2% unemployment rate in this area, you're saying, then there's a demand for PTs in your area. Maybe there's a hospital corp in the area that you can work part-time for and promise contractually to work for them for a few years after graduation, kind of like you would do if you went in the Army or something, right, or went in the Air Force. And they might pay a large portion or all of your tuition, but it's kind of an indentured servant program where you have to go back and work for them for a little while. That kind of then I'm not as worried about the price if they're going to pay for it instead of you. And you could take this particular one. But I'm going to find some other ways to do this. Now, you just call me. You just started listening. This is all a brand new conversation to you, and I just completely walked all over your dreams with muddy boots. But I would rather do that than you call me at 32 going, Dave, I am in a mess. We have 3 kids. My wife, the dental hygienist, just quit and went home to be with the baby. I still have $160,000 in student loan debt, and I make $85,000 a year. Would you please help me get out of this mess? That's the call I get. And I don't want the 32-year-old you pissed at the 24-year-old you. And that's what I want you to think about. So I'm just sitting the other side of this, and I'm not trying to kill your dreams. If you want to be a PT, I think it's a fine profession. I want you to pay a reasonable, not overcharged fee to become one. I want you to avoid debt doing it. If it takes you a year longer, fine. If you got to work a different job, fine. If you have to promise yourself to a company for a little while, fine. If you have to go get scholarships, fine. I'm okay with all that. But I'd be a lot more comfortable with you paying $100,000 to get a degree that makes you 60, moving up towards 85, than I would you doing what you're doing, and I'm completely uncomfortable with you going in this far in debt to do this. Now, the problem is you ask my opinion, and I'm an expert on my opinion, but I'm here to help you. That's what I'm trying to do. So give you some things to think about. If I can help you further, you call me back. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Kyle is with us in Montgomery, Alabama. Hey, Kyle, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hey there, Dave. Hey, Ken. Thanks for taking my call today.
Sure. What's up?
Well, my wife and I found the baby steps about 4 years ago, and we were fortunate enough to start on baby step 3. Since then, we've taught FPU 2 times, but we are still hesitant to cut up the credit cards and close the accounts. We have that fear of fraudulent debit card purchases, and I've heard you talk about it before in the past about the protections between debit and credit cards.
Yeah,
but in my own research,
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
In my own research, following hearing those episodes, I have looked into it and found anecdotal evidence that people suffer when their debit cards get misused, and then the banks take a while, or they may try to refuse the refunds by those fraudulent charges. Do you have any input or any other protections out there that you would suggest to help prevent those, to help us get over that fear and stop using credit cards?
Yeah. First, I would tell you that if you don't get over the fear, you should not lead Financial Peace University, because you're telling, we're telling people to quit using credit cards, and you leading the class are still using them as hypocritical. So that's not good for you. It's not good for the people in the class. So if you can't deal with this issue, I understand. I'm not going to be mad at you, but it's inconsistent for when the cornerstone of the class is to get rid of all debt so that you can become wealthy. So let's set that on the table first. Secondly,
absolutely, I understand.
Yeah. Secondly, I carry debit cards, and I have used them literally all over the world. I don't own a single credit card. And I have had fraudulent transactions. I've had lots of scares, lots of shutdowns, lots of reverse charges. I have never had a bank hold money on me, and I'm probably, my point is, I'm probably more exposed to fraud than the average person because I travel so much and I do so many different kinds of transactions. And we run all of Ramsey Solutions, a $300 million company, with debit cards. The company doesn't have any credit cards. And so, I've got like several hundred people that work on the team that carry a Ramsey debit card. So we've got massive exposure to what you're talking about. And our practical experience is it is so rare that something takes more than 24 or 48 hours to get refunded, that it's, it's there. Now, if you're buying something for an amount of money that if that amount of money doesn't get returned to you in 48 hours, destroys your life, that says you shouldn't be buying something like that, mathematically. And so there's another level of lack of wisdom that's involved in some of those stories that you find in the deep, dark recesses of the internet, in your research that you've done. But the practical fact is we see so little misbehavior by banks or stress put on people by this, that the offset of now I will tell you this: the people that use credit cards and pay them off every month, 78% don't pay them off every month. So someone's lying about paying them off every month, because when you talk to people, they all say they pay them off every month, and nobody does hardly. And so the number of people that fall into the trap of getting screwed over by the use of credit cards versus fall into the trap of having their life considerably offset by a delayed refund in the rare event of a fraudulent transaction that actually does cost you money, and how long does it take to get back in your account is the numbers don't even it's a bazillion times more on credit cards. The lives are destroyed and messed up than they are by somebody not getting a fraud refund on a debit card. And so the trade-off is not even close. There is a reality that can happen, and it does happen on occasion, but it is not a frequent thing. I'm giving you a set example that I literally have hundreds of debit cards.
Yeah, I think the data will show you, Kyle, and I think you've done enough research to know that the numbers would tell you that it's an irritation, this fear that you have, not a devastation. And there's two things you could do. You asked, what could you do? If you don't have identity theft of Xander Insurance, Stacy and I have that. Everybody at Ramsey Solutions does. Identity theft protection is going to help you there and protect you. And then I will tell you, I'm not going to endorse any bank, but our personal bank, they're so good with their security that sometimes if Stacy and I are out of state and we forget to tell them we're going somewhere, we just go to dinner and it'll send me a text. Your card was just charged. Your debit card was charged at this restaurant. Are you there?
Are you in Cabo?
Is it you?
Yes, I am.
As a matter of fact, it happened. And so I think you've created a boogeyman that really doesn't exist, lurking around every corner. Does it happen? Yes. Is it devastating financially?
The number of times that it is an actual serious financial problem to a family versus the number of times a credit card is an actual serious financial problem to a credit card is 1/10 of 1%. These they don't even line up. They're not even close. They're not even the same stratosphere of the damage one does versus the damage another does.
Yeah,
not even close. And so the trade-off is just not worth it on this one issue, because debit cards have a 100% fraud protection.
That's correct.
If it is fraud, the bank has to refund it. That is Visa's policy. It is MasterCard's policy. It is in there. It's a zero liability policy. You can read it in their own stuff. And so the people that say, and he's not saying this, but the people that say, well, credit cards have fraud protection, debit cards don't. That's not true. It's just not true. He's not saying that, by the way, but to his credit. But so for those of you out there, your debit card has the exact same fraud protection your credit card has. What he's referring to is if you went online and bought something with your debit card, and it was
if someone
stole your identity and used your account, or they picked up your card number off a false reader or something on one of these rip-off ATM machine things, and they take your card and they go buy something with it, and it shows up in your account, and it's $200. $200 does come out of your account, out of your checking account, and then you report the fraud, and the bank has to put it back. And the number of times that causes disaster on a family is almost zero, because A, banks put it back really, really fast, and B, you shouldn't be using any financial transaction that, if it goes sideways, destroys your life.
That's correct.
Period. Now, I'll tell you what does happen, and then people use this to whine about this as a justification, rationalization for using their credit cards. And this is not Kyle, but I hear it all the time. For people that are, keep my credit card. I'm going to keep one open, because when I travel, they put a hold. So when you check into a hotel, all right, the one we were staying in the other night, I didn't use my card because we were doing a corporate thing. We're out there, and his account was set up with Omni. But if I go check into an Omni or whatever by myself with Sharon and me, they'll put a hold on your account for the amount. So $400 a night, $300 a night, $200, whatever it is, right? They're going to put a hold on that, and it might be a day or two before it comes off. But listen, if you can't afford a $200 or $300 or $400 hold on your account, then you can't afford to stay in that hotel. You should be at home working. That's, these are the things you need to think about. But they're like, they took that $200 out. It took 3 days. It took 8 days for Omni took the hold off of it. Well, that sometimes does happen.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be doing stuff that you can't afford. That's the other thing. So, yeah. It's up to you, Kyle. You get to decide, man. But the trade-off for me is obvious. It's a minor irritation versus the damage that credit cards have done to American families for decades. Thanks for joining us, America. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. I'm talking to Bo in Orlando. He's a custom home builder. After the last downturn, he decided to hoard cash, and he did a good job of it. He's got $415,000 sitting in cash. Is that a fair summary of what you told me so far, sir?
Yes, sir, it is.
Well done.
And I need a little kick in the pants to move this one way or the other because it's not doing anybody any good where it's at.
Yeah, it's costing you about $40,000 a year not having it in something, and that's pretty substantial. So,
yeah,
probably needs to be in something. The trick is, what you want to do with it. What's your long-term plan for that money?
Well, I grew up in a family. I've been very blessed to have essentially the same principles you've taught. You're remarkable. You do such a good service for those out there, and I've really been able to keep my whole lifestyle out of debt. I've got 2 young children, a wonderful wife who is ingrained in our company as well, cool. And knowing how cash got me through the difficult times, I'm almost paralyzed to pay off the rest of my debt in my personal house because now I know I'm depleting those funds, and then, of course, taking the rest of those funds and putting them into some kind of investment. I do have other investments, but again, going through such a horrible time, it's almost made me paralyzed to do anything.
Well, I mean, you're risk averse because of it. I don't blame you. So, how much do you owe on your home?
$93,000.
Okay, well, that's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, that still leaves you $300,000. You write that check today. Yeah, I'll be done with that. Okay. And that's your last debt?
That's it. Nothing else.
Yeah,
no car payments. I'm kind of stuck in baby step 7.
Yeah,
I can't move.
Not anymore. By the end of the day, you're debt free. Just write that check. $93,000 out of $415,000. I mean, you're still sitting there with $300 and something thousand. And if you don't like being debt free, you can go get you a mortgage later. Okay. You're gonna love it. You're gonna go, oh, I wish I'd done that years ago. Okay, because a switch is gonna flip inside of you that you're gonna go, wow, that feels good. Okay, now then, what to do with that other $300,000? So, what is your household income? What do you guys make a year? Net profit, taxable income.
Well, that's kind of the problem. It's very cyclical. Not cyclical. It just goes very drastic one way or the other.
What do you think? What do you think?
Will be approximately $200,000 this year. The year afterwards might be $100,000.
Okay.
And so,
all right. So let's say that just I want a fund of cash that I'm not going to make any money on. It's just there to make me feel good about cyclical. Right?
Yes.
How much does that fund need to be? $100,000?
That's what I was thinking. Exactly that number.
Okay. That's pretty rich for an emergency fund, but you're in a very volatile business. Agreed. And you've been stung a couple times. And so what you're saying is that the money I would have made on that $100,000, I'm willing to give up just to have it sitting there to make me feel good.
Correct.
I'm going to give up approximately $10,000 a year because it's just going to sit there. That's okay, by the way. That's okay. I don't dislike that plan at all. And so let's set $100. Let's pay off the house. Let's set $100 aside for that. So now we still got $200 left. What are we going to do with that?
Well, that's where here we are. The market's done so great. We're seeing a lot of swings, and I've kind of gotten to this mental state of I don't want to give any of it back. So would I go into something that's more of a growth stock mutual fund or more of a conservative mindset? Still making money, but still kind of there. Or am I just being too conservative?
You know what I think you would do? I think you go buy some dirt.
I'd love to do that.
Go buy you some dirt.
My entrepreneurial spirit is just bubbling inside right now. That's kind of what I want to do, but I just don't want to put my family at risk because of my.
They're not. You're 100% debt free. You have $100,000 in the bank. And you make $200 a year or $100 a year. You're all right.
Oh
Why is it so difficult to get over this hurdle?
No, it's not. It's just
why.
Well, because you've been burned. I mean, and that's human nature. You would be an unwise, rash, immature person if you weren't having these feelings with the volatility you've been through in the business.
Yeah, it's tough.
If you crash your car into the wall, the next time you get in the car to drive it, it's you're worried about hitting the wall. So it's just normal. But here's the thing: if you go buy some paid-for dirt, no mortgages. Just go buy you a piece of dirt somewhere that maybe someday you put some houses on, or maybe you just want to own some dirt to hold the world together, or maybe you buy a little rental house for $200,000 or something in the Orlando market, and it makes you a little money. That's okay. But listen, you're going to do better because of your knowledge of real estate and building. You're going to do better in real estate than you are in emotionally and financially, both. You're going to do better there than you are playing in mutual funds.
Well, that's what my financial advisor kind of wants to get that $200,000, and I try to be as respectful as possible in that I believe in his profession, I trust in what he's doing, but I feel like through my experience and what I have done over the course of my 44 years, I can make it grow quicker, but it does come with a lot more risk.
No, it doesn't come with a lot more risk because you're going to pay cash for whatever you do, and you're not going to be in a hurry. And we're going to whatever we spend this $200,000 on, it's not $200 down payment. It's we're going to buy something and own it, and you will make more on that because you know what you're doing in that world. Real estate is a much more from an economics class. If you took an econ class, there's a thing called a perfect market or an imperfect market. The more perfect the market, the more everyone has access to it, and the less deals there are. Real estate is a very imperfect market, because meaning that there are deals, and you guys like you and me that know the real estate world. Man, I bought so much stuff. My net worth tripled in 2008. Because I was buying real estate. I mean, I'm buying $4 million buildings for $1 million.
Yeah.
But not everybody knows how to do that. But I grew up in that business, and so man, it was kicking. It was a fun time. And you can do the same thing.
Being asset heavy. And I don't want to say cash poor, but just
you're not cash poor.
Yeah.
You're not cash poor.
That's what I'm having a problem getting over is that thought process. I'm just so used to seeing such a big amount in my bank account, and I know to some of the listeners they might be saying,
well, but if 100 is not enough, raise the 100. I don't care.
Yeah.
But establish a number that beyond that you quit wasting the money and you start investing it.
Yes, sir.
Give yourself some kind of an emotional baseline where you say if it's not 100, it's 150. I don't care if it's 200. 200 sounds rich to me, but I think 100's plenty, personally, just talking to you. But establish that baseline, and then past that, say, I'm going to put the next batch into real estate, and I may do the next batch into mutual funds.
Yeah.
Next time you get your hands on 100, you may call your advisor and drop that into mutuals. I don't care. I like having a mix of the two, personally. Some people don't like real estate. Some people don't like mutual funds. That's okay. You can do any of those you want to do. I'm fine all the way around, but that's the idea. You just got to give yourself some checks and balances with some guidelines that you self-establish. You and your wife talk about it. You pray through it. You go, okay, this is how much I need to feel good. And past that, I'm going to force myself to invest it because past that, I'm just being chicken. And there's a difference between being risk-averse and being chicken. You did so good, man. Well done. Kim is with us in Columbus, Georgia. Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up in your world?
What isn't up? Basically, what our situation is, we have more money going out than we've got coming in on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis even. And I desperately want to start this program. My husband and myself, we've talked about it, and we do believe this is the way that we'll finally be able to dig our way out of this mess that we've gotten ourselves in. But the problem is I can't pay the bills that we currently have because they're so far behind to get caught up to start saving the $1,000 for the first step.
You're right.
And so I just feel like I feel like I'm drowning in debt at this point, and I just
How long has it been like this?
Too long. It's been a long time.
Yeah, years.
No, well, it's been climbing up.
Yeah.
And so, maybe between 8 to 10 years. Yeah. It's been getting worse and worse.
But now you're getting scared.
I'm terrified.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me about the debt. How much do you owe on your cars?
We don't have any debt on our cars. Actually, we're in a pretty good place as far as that goes. Both our vehicles are paid off.
What are they worth?
And, what are they worth? Well, the Saturn's probably only worth, if it's worth $200, I'd be surprised.
Okay. The other one?
Our truck is the other vehicle, and it's a 2005, so I don't really know what it's worth, to be honest, but we do need both vehicles.
I wasn't going to get rid of them. I'm just trying to figure out if you had a $30,000 car, I was going to get rid of it. But so what's your household income?
Well, right now we're looking at about $27,187.32 approximately on what comes into the home, not including the taxes. All that's I've already figured that out of it.
And do you have any savings coming out of your checks?
Well, this is what I know. We currently don't, but
Good.
I do. My mother passed away a few years ago, and she did leave us some money. And with that money, we were able to purchase the home that we live in debt-free.
Good.
So
that's awesome.
We don't have that over our head, thank God.
All right, that's good. How many kids have you got at home?
I'm sorry?
How many children at home?
No children.
Good.
It's just my husband and myself and a bunch of debt.
Gotcha. So what is the debt on?
Say that one more time.
What is your debt on?
We have 7 credit cards, some medical bills, and...
How much on credit cards?
Well, with the credit cards and the medical combined, I figure we're about 20 in debt.
Okay.
20,000.
And is that it?
Yes, I believe it is. I've combed over everything and tried to. The only thing that this may not include is the our HOA dues that we are behind on also, and that's probably another 1,000.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, here's what I'm hearing. You guys are not out there spending money like crazy people. You don't have any money. And so you're not out there overspending and buying a bunch of crap because you're out of control and impulsing or something. You might at Walmart, but you're not doing it big time. I mean, you're not dropping $10,000 on some stupid car you can't afford or something like that. You've been dying death by 1,000 cuts, a little bit here, a little bit there, and all of a sudden there's $20,000 on a couple credit cards here, and because you've been out of control for so long, and you don't have any money, So, how much of a tax refund did you guys get?
I think we're getting about 13 total from both state and federal.
1,000?
There are a couple of other factors I want to be sure that I ask you about also.
13,000?
No, I'm sorry, hundreds.
Okay.
I don't know why I said 1,000. I wish
You
it was
didn't.
1,000.
You didn't. You said 13. I didn't know which 13 you were talking about.
Oh,
okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. And so that's not a bunch. So you're not being over withheld on taxes. Okay, let's do 2 things immediately. All right. The first thing we're going to do is get on a written plan with the money you have coming into the house. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a budget. Jump on everydollar.com for your phone or for your computer. It's completely free to use it. All right? And when you jump on that, you're going to make every one of those dollars. You and your husband are both going to sit down and look at it every month, and you're going to make every dollar behave. Because right now you're living crisis to crisis, and you're running around putting out fires, and you're not making good decisions.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's true.
Now, when you're doing the written plan that both of you are agreeing, this is the money that comes in, this is where it's going, it's not going anywhere else. Okay? Your first 4 or 5 things you buy are what we call build the 4 walls around your house. I want you to make sure your utilities get current if they're not already. Your house is already paid for, so you shouldn't have to worry about that, but you need to catch those HOA dues up and keep them current. Anything having to do with food, shelter, clothing, transportation, and utilities. So you put gas in the car to go to work. You keep the cars running. That's repairs and insurance. And we take care of the HOA dues. Because if we have food, we have a place to live, we have a way to drive, and we've got clothing, emotionally, the rest of it's just a game. You're behind. Okay. You're behind in the game. But when you don't know if you got enough food money because you gave the money to the credit card company because they called and yelled at you, that gets you in a different place emotionally. You get the crap scared out of you. You can't breathe.
Right.
And so we take care of the 4 walls so you live to fight another day. And then we begin to work through these other debts. So thing 1 is a budget. Thing 2 is the 4 walls. Thing 3 is I want you to look at your checks and see if anything is being taken out of these checks that you can stop having taken out of your check, so you get more home. I want you to get home with every dollar you can possibly get home. No investing, no buying anything except health insurance. Only health insurance, nothing else, because you're going to need the money. And then lastly, I want y'all to start working on your incomes, because you're living way down next to the poverty level right now. Your income is low, and that's not calling you out or calling you a bad name or something. I just want you to make more money because you need money. And so it's a part-time jobs on the temporary, and then this long-term, what are we going to do with a different career? Because y'all don't make any money. It's hard to do it on $27,000. It's tough, as you've already found out. No kidding, Dave. I knew that. Hang on. I'm going to send you through our Financial Peace University program, and I'm going to pay for it. Hold on.
Jan, how is it going over there?
Well, I have some school debt and some credit card debt, and just looking for some advice on how to restructure our lives so we can get out of this debt.
Wow. Well, the fact that you're willing to talk like that means you guys are ready for a change.
Absolutely.
Sounds like you've had your I've had it moment.
Yes, we definitely had it. I came to the realization with the school debt, I'm actually going to the expense to leave school and look for a job just so that we can get out of debt.
Wow. How far are you in your schooling?
So I've been about a year, close to a year and a half into schooling. I was going to go to law school and then realized I don't think I want to practice, and so it doesn't really make sense for me to continue with a degree. So that cost a pretty penny, of course.
So this is you're a year and a half into law school?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
So how much student loan debt and how much credit card debt?
So total we have about $108,000 in student loan debt, and then credit card debt we have about $6,000.
Okay. And when you say we, is that your spouse?
Me and my spouse, correct.
Okay. And what's your income, household?
Right now, we just have one income, and it's about $115,000.
And then you're going to leave school soon. What are you going to do after that?
I'm not sure. I'm just looking for something, maybe administrative work. I'm just trying to find something because I'm realizing that this debt has turned into kind of a snowball, and we're definitely not looking to take on more debt. And so,
what is your undergrad? What's your undergrad degree in?
Political science.
Okay. And do you feel like you want to stay completely away from law in any capacity right now, or are you still kind of open to maybe paralegal work or something in the field?
I'm open to work in the field, just because I don't really have too much of a choice at this point. But it would be nice to kind of pivot if that's possible. But I mean, I've worked in the field for some time. I was a legal assistant prior to school, so I could always go back to that.
I don't want you to wait until you're debt free to do something you love. And so that's what we're trying to get you plugged into while you become debt-free. And if you can do that and get paid well and actually enjoy doing it, it's going to make this whole experience a whole lot better.
Well, and you'll probably make more money doing something that you're passionate about. Like, I think right now it feels really overwhelming, and you feel kind of, a lot of guilt around leaving this degree and, maybe some shame, but you still have a lot of value. And just because you're leaving law school does not mean you can't have a successful career doing something completely different and get paid really well doing it.
Yeah, that's actually pretty encouraging, because I was thinking that I kind of just had to take anything to help us get out of this debt, because it's a lot. I mean, school loans are pretty tough.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. Right now, it feels like you are staring at a mountain, and it's easy to just want to start running as fast as possible, which we do want you to run as fast as possible and be gazelle intense, but we want you to do it with the best strategy, with a career that you love, that you're going to you're going to want to be fired up to get up every morning and go to work and take on an overtime job. And, anytime the boss says we need somebody to work late tonight, that you're going to go, hey, me, and get a bonus for doing that. Like, the more you're feeling passionate about what you're doing, the more you're going to show up, and want to go above and beyond, which often translates into more income.
Yeah, and that's a really good point that you make. There's nothing worse than being miserable at a job and then also trying to pay off debt. And another issue, too, is, like, we have really high rent because we live here in the city. And so it's close to $3,500 a month. So when I'm thinking about restructuring, we're wondering if it would be better to just, like, move to the suburbs, or that's a tough one there, too. It makes it harder for us to pay down this debt.
Well, is he working in the city?
Yes.
Okay, so it would be a little bit more of a commute. So there's a trade-off there. We don't want him driving 2 hours each way to work. So is there a trade-off where you could lower your rent to $2,000 a month, live a little further outside of the city, and still have him have a reasonable commute?
Yes, I think that would be possible. That's something that we're looking into, and I think that would probably make the most sense for us, because, we're obviously exceeding our income in debt.
What size apartment are you renting right now?
Right now, we're in a 2-bedroom.
I mean, I know it would be a little bit of a squeeze. There's also just weighing that, do you want to live further out, or do you want to go down to a 1-bedroom or maybe even a studio for a season? Like, if living close to the city is a big priority, there's also kind of going a little bit smaller. Do you guys have kids?
Right now we don't, and we're thinking about it, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think either way you go, whether you live a little bit further, get a little bit of a smaller spot, or maybe even rent out the other room, getting that $3,500.
There's going to be compromise either way, so it's you deciding on. But is he on board? Is he on fire like you are to make some changes?
Absolutely. I'm the one that's kind of driving it, but he's on board with it. So
awesome.
Hey, for a lot of people, that's half the battle.
Seriously.
Getting their spouse on board, so that's great.
Well, I want to leave you with some resources, Jan, so that you feel equipped. And one of those is Ken Coleman, our Ramsey personality and colleague. He's got an assessment called the Get Clear Career Assessment, because I think right now you're kind of at this crossroads. You've lost a little bit of hope, that your dreams are shattered, and we want to tell you that there is hope for you, that you can do work that you love. And this assessment is going to take you about 15 or 20 minutes, and it's going to spit out some amazing results that very clearly show you where your passions, your talents, your mission lie, and give you career options of things you can look into.
That sounds great.
And I also want to get you a copy of Paycheck to Purpose. That's Ken's book, and it's going to help you, go from, just looking for a job that's going to pay off these student loans to finding a job that gives you purpose that you're excited about, like we talked about earlier, that gets you fired up. So it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Absolutely. And let's pile on Financial Peace University. Have you guys been through that as a couple?
We have not been through it as a couple.
Oh, you're going to love it.
Makeover, yeah.
You're going to love that. So it's 9 lessons. I want you to watch all of them together. You can also join a local class. That is the best way to do it, because getting around other people who are on the same journey as you, there's nothing like it. With that, we're going to throw in Every Dollar Premium to help you guys get a plan for your money every single month, make decisions, and you're the boss of the budget until you make the budget, and the budget becomes the boss of you. And that is going to give you such freedom because now it's not a fight. It's no, we decided we're going to spend this much on food, and that's why we're not eating out. And so you guys got this. You have a great income. It's going to go up. You're going to come back into a debt-free Scream, and I cannot wait for that day. So hang on the line. Austin's going to pick up and give you From Paycheck to Purpose, the Get Clear Career Assessment, Financial Peace University, and Every Dollar Premium. Austin, you've got some work to do, man. Good luck with that. But we love doing it. Congrats. We are cheering you guys on. This is The Ramsey Show.
Mary's with us in Spokane, Washington. Hi, Mary. Welcome to The Ramsey Show.
Thank you. How are you?
Better than I deserve. How can we help?
So I am 33, and I am making plans to leave a abusive marriage. I have 2 kids, but I'm really scared and kind of questioning what I need moving forward. I've used your model in the past. We are debt-free, but I do have a few questions on when I'm a single income home, where do I need to be placing certain things?
I'm sorry. So do you have an income now?
I do, yes.
Okay. How much do you make?
110.
Okay. Why are you still there? You should leave today.
I grew up with a single mom, and
Don't care. Don't
there's
care.
a lot of trauma.
You said
there.
abusive. And once you said abusive, you're done.
I know.
You make $110,000 a year. You're going to be fine. I'll help you. We're going to work with you. But, honey, you got to get out of there. You're saying physical abuse, right?
Yeah, well, there's a couple things. But he's gotten treatment.
I don't care. You've made the decision to leave. The only thing holding you is Stockholm Syndrome.
I just don't know if I can do it by myself.
That's his words, not yours. His words in your head. It's what abusers do. They take away your confidence. Honey, you make $110,000 a year. There's a lot of things you are, but stupid ain't one of them. Stupid people don't make $110 a year. What do you do for a living?
I work for the government, and I'm a program manager.
Okay. All right. So you have a steady income and a great income.
Yes.
Why don't you think you can do it on $110,000 a year in Spokane, Washington?
I haven't made the jump yet, and I don't know whether or not I should buy or rent a home with the current market.
You need to rent.
Okay.
Because you need to get out of there this week. You don't have time to buy a home.
Okay.
You need to have a sense of urgency that you don't have now for the safety of your neck and your kids. Am I wrong?
I feel like we are safe, and
why?
There's certain things that he can't do now because of a charge that he got, and it's he's in counseling. We're in counseling. Kids are in counseling. So I'm just.
What keeps him from doing those things? A rule? A law?
Yeah. A rule.
Yeah. Well, there's a rule that happened long before that rule was put in place. The rule is you don't hit your wife and your kids. That's a rule. That one didn't occur to him. This guy doesn't follow rules.
No.
Okay. If you think that the domestic abuse is over and that the counseling is working, you wouldn't be calling me.
Yeah, I want to figure out how financially best to, because like I said, I was raised by a single mom.
Okay, let me restate that, and you tell me if I'm right. If you thought that he was done, and he was getting well, and he was repentant, and he was healing from whatever it is that caused him to do these things, if you thought that was the case, you wouldn't be calling me asking me how you were going to end your marriage due to the fact it was abusive. So you don't think he's better. You don't think he's okay. You don't think he's safe. That's why you're leaving. Am I missing something?
No, I've lost trust. So although things aren't occurring now, I've lost that trust. And I don't want my kids to be further traumatized, and I don't want
I agree.
them thinking that this is a healthy relation.
I agree.
This is how a healthy relationship should
So
be.
you're
And
done.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no reason for you to stay a minute more, Mary.
What specifically are you afraid of? Dave's already told you, and he's right. You got a great income and a great job. What are you scared of? Because you called and said, I'm preparing to leave, but just like you're needing that nudge or
I thought you were going to tell me you didn't have a job or
Yeah.
something.
What are you afraid of specifically?
Well, PTSD and anxiety doesn't help, but I'm afraid that I'm not going to be enough for the kids, or that my income's not going to be enough for them, and I don't know if I'm.
How old are you?
33.
Okay. And what's your degree in?
Nursing, bachelor's nursing.
Okay. All right. So I want you to listen. I've got 7 grandbabies and a daughter your age. Okay. And that's the only thing that authorizes me to say this. So I don't have a doctoral in counseling like Dr. John Deloney. I don't have any of that. But I want you to listen to me real clearly, okay? You are going to be an incredible mother because you're protecting your children. You are an intelligent lady. You're a smart lady. You're a wise lady. And you make a ton of money. You're going to be just fine. Quit believing the lies that he has told you. That's the trap he put you in. Okay? You're going to be fine. The kids are going to be great. You're going to do just fine. And they're going to tell the story sometime about their courageous mom who got them away from an abusive dad. But you have to do this, and you have to do it right now. So here's what we're going to do. Okay, because this is not a financial problem. This is an emotional, psychological problem. I am telling you, as the number one guy in America to advise you on your money, that you have enough money to leave, and you should leave now. And you can feed your kids in Spokane, Washington on $110,000. You are fine. They are fine. You are enough. You're going to be a great mom. Yeah. You're going to be a great single mom. You're going to do great. Your kids are going to heal. You're going to heal. You're going to look in the rearview mirror and see this manure in the rearview mirror. But you've got to put it in the rearview mirror. You're plenty. Now, here's what we're going to do. I have trained Ramsey certified coaches in your market, and Kelly is going to pick up, and we're going to have you sit down with one today or tomorrow. It's going to cost you nothing. We're going to pay for it. Okay?
Okay.
And they're going to help you do a budget and show you how to get your rent going and show you how to get this stuff done. And I'm going to put you through Financial Peace University so you can be confident on handling money as well. Now, when you get that level of confidence in the next 3 days, I want you to pack your stuff and get out of there. I'm scared for your babies. I'm scared you're going to hang on and hang on and hang on and hang on and hang on because of your lack of confidence that is completely unfounded and unfactual. Does that sound mean? Does that sound mean?
No.
Okay.
It's just embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing.
You've done
You
nothing
didn't do
wrong.
anything wrong. It is embarrassing, but you didn't do it. Okay? And I want you to hear loud and clear that you're plenty, you're enough. And I want you to feel a Ramsey hug coming through the airwaves right now, and this whole organization is going to come around you and make your life okay. We're going to show you how to do it. You have the tools to have a great life. Okay?
Thank you.
And
We believe in you.
I want you to call me back on the air and tell America that you're okay when you get the crap out of that house. You hold on, and Kelly will pick up, and we're going to get you signed up for whatever you need. And hook her up with Ken, too. But she don't even be hooked up with Ken. She's got a job.
She's crushing it.
She's crushing it. What am I saying? Put her in everything she needs. Anything she needs, get it to her. But get her out of that house, Kelly. This is The Ramsey Show.